just straight up sent Draymond Green to his room. The NBA stepped in and said, Draymond, when we are ready to talk to you, we will come talk to you. An indefinite suspension for Draymond Green as the NBA is tired of his antics. The NBA has had enough of Draymond Green's antics. And the question now becomes, when will the Golden State Warriors have enough of Draymond Green? Yes, the championships, the title, the edge, the defensive engine that he has been for that team. But times have changed. Players have gotten a little bit older. Just strands left of the championship team. It's Steph Curry, it's Klay Thompson, it's Draymond Green. The core. But is it worth it anymore? The NBA says you got to take your time. And you will come back when we say we are ready to talk to you again. What it do? It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610. The Sports Animal, JJ Buck, DC with you this morning. And we were all sitting here and the talking heads throwing it out there, and a lot of people assumed, all right, it's probably be like 10 games for Draymond Green. The biggest suspension we've seen recently was with Ja Morant. The 25-game suspension for Ja Morant, who is right now in court testifying that he punched a teenager in self-defense. That's a trial or court hearing that's going on right now. Of course, Ja Morant with his blatant disregard for just basic gun safety, wanting to be a TikTok fan with his crew and on social media. Then NBA's like, you get 25 games. When it comes down to Draymond Green, who already has been thrown out of 3 games this season, has already been suspended 5 games for his headlock on Rudy Gobert, now an indefinite suspension. This one caught me off guard a little bit when the NBA was just like, you know what? We'll talk to you when we are ready, Draymond.
I don't know if it caught me off guard so much. I actually am pretty impressed with the NBA to deal with this the way they are and take their time to really unbox it and figure out what's going on with the guy. Because let's step away and just say, hey, if he's having some serious mental problem, then yeah, let's get him some help. And I think that's probably really good.
I don't feel that way though.
Oh, really?
That he's like Draymond's having mental issues. I think he just believes the way he plays, he can just get away with things, and it's never going to be more than 5 games, maybe 10 games, until now where they're like, yeah, we'll talk to you in a little bit.
Well, and I guess that's in the nature of an indefinite suspension. It gives them time to figure out what's really going on, and that's really what I'm saying. Is I'm impressed that the NBA is actually looking into this and trying to address the real issue rather than just throwing out a number and saying you're not getting paid.
I think that the issue is, this is who Draymond Green is. He's always a guy that's doing a little bit extra, flailing, kicking dudes in the groin, and he's trying, I'm just going for a rebound. That's what I do. Yeah, because when we all rebound a basketball, we flail our legs forward like that. It's a classic rebounding.
The classic rebounding position.
Yeah,
I like that.
Just kicking my legs out, going for a rebound. Like, we all see it. He can't talk his way through it anymore. And the NBA's had enough. And now the next question with that is, you're Steph Curry or Klay Thompson. You came back, you won another championship. Klay Thompson overcame multiple major injuries. Steph Curry is still a good basketball player. But at this point in time, they are not good enough to overcome Draymond's mess. They are not good enough to be missing Draymond Green for 15, 20, 25 games in a regular season, when right now, the Golden State Warriors, it's only 2.5 games, but it can get late early for a team that is messy. And the Golden State Warriors are trending that direction. They're not a top 10 team in the Western Conference right now. They're not even in a play-in spot, which is 7 through 10 in the NBA these days. And I get it. Draymond, ride or die. They've rode many championships with Draymond Green. They've gone through many issues with Draymond Green. Heck, they let him punch a teammate, and they're like, we got to get Jordan Poole out of the situation, not Draymond Green. And so if you're looking at somehow, some way putting together one more run, you have to remove Draymond from the situation.
It is something you have to consider. I mean, he is holding the team back right now.
Because of, he's at the end. They all are at the end. And he wants to be compensated. He wants his kind of last big bite of the apple. we're not getting that return at all at the end of the run with this team. Of course, they got a new general manager. Steve Kerr is still there. I wonder what those conversations are like with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Because those are the guys. It's no one else. It's not Jonathan Kuminga. Not even maybe Kayvon Looney can just sit there and nod his head in that conversation. He's been around for a while. But it's Steph Curry and it's Klay Thompson. And what those guys, everything they've done, being there for Draymond Green, riding through it, winning a lot of games. And just going, man, like in one of our toughest seasons, that it's not about injury. It's not about Klay Thompson getting hurt and us just getting by. It's about, hey, can we still compete at a high level, win a playoff series like they did last year? And we got to do this again? Like everyone comes to an end. Another story we're going to talk about this morning involving one of the best coaches of all time, Bill Belichick, probably coming to an end. This feels like something that could facilitate a new era in Golden State with Draymond Green playing basketball somewhere else.
You know, I think you were definitely right about that, especially with Klay and his extension kind of up in the air. You definitely are starting to see these dominoes fall, and it's weird to say, but it does feel like we're seeing the end of this dynasty and what comes next. You know, it's funny because looking back, I remember when the Warriors beat the Nuggets and they basically recruited Andre Iguodala on the court. That was the beginning, and now here we are talking about the end. That's been a wild ride. And
they've done it different ways. They've done it with this core that came up and finding the right role players in it, from Andre Iguodala, who hit big-time shots. You've seen Sean Livingston roll through there. Andrew Bogut's had his time, and then they went super team and the unbeatable moments when Kevin Durant joined. And then they came back, and they're like, you know what? We're going to win it all again after the fact. It is one of the most impressive championship runs we've seen.
It really is. It really
is. With what Golden State has done.
It's interesting, too, with their general manager leaving last year. You got to wonder, like, all these things are starting to come together right now. But did something happen in that building that we're going to hear about later?
There's probably things behind the scenes, like there always is, with certain things. I don't think it's going to be anything too juicy, but I think it's just, you see Draymond Green, and you've put up with it for so long. Like, that's when we came back in yesterday, and we're like, this isn't surprising. I'm not shocked. I'm like, oh, my gosh, how could Draymond do that? Because he does it all the time. But now that the story is not, oh, how long is this suspension going to be, this or that. I think the story is, if you're Golden State, you're sitting there going, is it time? Like, can this be the moment? You're always waiting for that sign, right? You sit there and go, oh, what should I do? What should we do? What's the sign going to be? And I think this could be the sign. Because Draymond Green, yeah, he's different. But as we know in the NBA, everyone is tradable. Everyone can find a place to play basketball. We went through this for how many years? With Russell Westbrook, we've seen James Harden go through how many teams, upset how many people, and there's still a place. So that's going to be the next step. If this is truly the end of this era for Golden State, what could they do to facilitate a trade? But to me, it doesn't come down to how Steve Kerr feels or the new general manager in town. This is all about Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
Yeah, it really is. You know, Steph Curry was the beginning of this whole run. And it's interesting, as you were speaking, I was thinking, like, what is the 30 for 30 going to be like? Who's the star of that show? Is it Draymond Green? I mean, is he really the biggest story?
Well, Draymond Green is definitely not only good at basketball, but good at the words.
He is. He is very good with words.
This podcast, when he's on the NBA on TNT.
Yeah, he's not
he is
afraid
a
of the camera.
character.
Yeah, he is. He'll be front and center. Man, I cannot believe we're talking about that this morning. The end of the Warriors dynasty. It's real, though. Here we are. This is what happens, and it's over.
Steph Curry turns 36 in March. Klay Thompson 34 in February. Draymond Green 34 in March. You know, we see what LeBron James does, but that's LeBron. That's not talking about your core, a trio of players that are getting up there in age. It's decision time for Golden State. And I'm not worried about the time that Draymond Green's going to be out. What I'm worried about is, are they going to welcome him back? Or does Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, do they sit there and say, Dre, it's been fun. We have these memories. We have championships in different, like, many eras within the same decade. It was unbelievable. but it's time. 505-246-0610. That's the Sports Animal Hotline and text line this morning. J.J. Buck, D.C. We also still have today and tomorrow a pair of Isleta New Mexico Bowl tickets. Let's do it in the 9 o'clock hour today. So stay tuned in the 9 o'clock hour. A chance to win a pair of tickets to the Isleta New Mexico Bowl this Saturday. New Mexico State and Fresno State, both teams in town. They hit up main event last night, so they're having some of the bowl fun. And then they'll focus on football this Saturday. And, of course, your home for the bowl season radio coverage of the Isleta New Mexico Bowl is the Sports Animal, sandwiched between the two NFL games on Saturday. Of course, NFL starts tonight here on the Sports Animal in the Battle of the Backups with Easton Stick, Aiden O'Connell. Maybe Aiden O'Connell, but Antonio Pierce has made that decision on his starting quarterback yet. Chargers and the Raiders. But when it comes to the end of an era, this time it feels more real. Just like Draymond Green and the Golden State Warriors are having this conversation, well, the New England Patriots have had the conversation. There's people out there saying that it is done. The decision is made. And is Bill Belichick just done in New England, or will he be done with football? That is coming up next. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is Pro V. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sal, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, my mom.
As Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove her off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife. And our daughter. They didn't make it.
Hi, I'm Steve Sucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
If you're drunk, classic, intoxicated, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? It's Corey crossing the mirror here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Try to be better than all my intentions. I can show that you got my attention. See your baby, I get to the business. Touchdown and tell you a visit.
For 50 years, Clark's Pet Emporium has been your pet's favorite stop. Santa Paws has left thousands of holiday gifts for your furry, scaly, and winged family members. Pick up a gift for a pet lover or even a new pet. Clark's has shelves full of pet beds, sweaters, toys and treats, habitats, and tanks galore. Locally owned and operated with 2 convenient locations for all your pet needs. 11200 Manal Northeast or 4914 Lomas Northeast. Clark's is celebrating 50 years. Thanks to you, the Christmas Superstore. ClarksPets.com.
I'm the designated driver. Boom. Sweet. Does anyone need lights help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, right?
These days, it's important to know people and businesses you can trust. There's a lot of places where you can buy a vehicle. There's only a few local dealerships where you'll find honest people who have your best interests in mind. And Fiesta Kia is one of them. We've been helping our neighbors save money and drive dependable cars for years, and we'd love to help you. With new Kias arriving daily, you'll love our selection and the peace of mind you'll get driving a Kia from Fiesta. So stop by and see us today at Fiesta Kia on Lomas, or just start driving now at fiestakia.com.
The Sports Animal.
I'm getting ready for Kansas City. Or how do you do it? I'm getting ready for Kansas City. I'm getting ready for Kansas City. That was New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick yesterday when he was asked multiple times about reports that are coming out that the New England Patriots and head coach Bill Belichick will part ways after the season. Tom Curran of NBC Sports Boston got this going really on Monday. That after the Week 10 loss to the Colts, so you're going back to Germany, that the organization has decided to move on from Bill Belichick. When Bill Belichick asked about it yesterday, he's not going to say anything on that. He's focused on getting ready for Kansas City. Getting ready for Kansas City. And if it's done in New England, and at this point in time, you tip your cap and say thank you. Because what is not going to change is what needs to change. And that is, Bill Belichick does not need total control. You get to a certain point where you feel like, I've done this. I am the man. I am him. I am Bill Belichick. I have built this. Okay. But we've also seen, yes, swing and miss. The offensive coordinator decisions last year, where it's Joe Judge and Matt Patricia. Not good for Mac Jones. Then Mac Jones starts looking outside the organization. That gets people all upset. And then you look and say, all right, well, how about surrounding Mac Jones with talent? A guy that you made the playoffs with him as a rookie. So there was something there when it came to competing and winning NFL games. And it's nothing. And you look around and say, when's the last pass catcher not named Julian Edelman that this team drafted and it became something? It's been a while.
It's been a long while.
You can't name one because they don't have one.
No, they don't.
And they've swung and missed when they've spent money. In the tight end market was 2 years ago, like Joe Newsmith, Hunter Henry, running it back. Well, that didn't do anything for you last year. It's not the same recipe for success, too, because also, guess what? That guy. Tom Brady's not there to elevate those players. Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, not elevating that offense like Tom Brady was able to do. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. Jay Bucket, DC with you this morning. And when it comes to Bill Belichick, if it's, you get to the point where they're called like a mutual parting of ways. So New England's not firing him. He's not just leaving. Like, hey, we agreed our time is up. Kind of similar to what we were just talking about Draymond Green. You come to an end, even after so much success. Sometimes things, not sometimes, all the time, comes to an end. But do you think if Bill Belichick is not coaching the New England Patriots, is he coaching somewhere next season?
I envision Bill Belichick wearing sunglasses, a button-up Hawaiian-style shirt, and coaching the San Diego Chargers.
Ooh. LA Chargers, but
yeah. Or, they're always
It
San
makes
Diego.
sense.
Are you kidding me?
I feel
yeah,
that
no,
too.
LA, yeah.
Like you
But-
can go in, you got a quarterback, don't have to worry about it. Now, the thing with Bill Belichick is plenty of other organizations are still going to want him to be the coach. Are they going to have to surrender everything to get him? Because that's where I'm worried. I am.
You look at Washington, and you think, like, that's the other name that comes up quite a bit, or team, I should say. Are they willing, is Magic Johnson willing to give him everything, give him full control? I just don't see that with the new ownership group.
And a team like Washington, I think from the outside perspective, if you're just a fan and you just got new ownership, you finally put the Dan Snyder stuff behind, you have some hope. You're watching, all right, the Ron Rivera, Eric Bieniemy stuff, not quite work out. You thought Eric Bieniemy was going to get that spark, do something crazy with Sam Howell. All right, there's a lot of completions, there's a lot of yards, but not a lot of wins going on because it's still a football team question. I could see an organization like Washington doing that with a new ownership group, going, oh, Bill Belichick wants to come in, and he wants to control everything. Let's go. But I don't think that is the best course. I don't really think that's good for any organization, is to have a head coach be that in control first now. Like, I think it's best that you have general manager, your head coach. Obviously, they work together on systems and player talent, but you have to have that division. And I think that's going to be the challenge. Is, Bill Belichick, he's done something for so long, my way or the highway type of guy. Because there is some spots. Because I'm interested. Bill Belichick goes into the LA Chargers. And we've talked so much about, the Chargers just don't seem to have that edge. There's something seems to be out. Brandon Staley not making the right decision. If the Chargers essentially have a ready-made offense, Bill Belichick goes in with, say, does he run it back with Josh McDaniel? Josh McDaniels goes in, OC.
That's a really interesting
Justin
thought.
Herbert.
I mean, the pieces are there. I could see him doing that. He's brought him back in New England before, so why not again in Los Angeles? That's really interesting. I hadn't thought that far down the line, but with those two guys in place, San Diego, LA looks way
the Chargers. People know what you're saying.
Yeah. But, I mean, with all the potential we talk about and all the failure from Staley, putting Belichick in there is like putting an adult in the room, is what it feels like. And that feels like a totally different team with that one change.
Because I'm not out on Bill Belichick, the football coach. This dude still knows more football than any of us will ever know in our life.
He's forgotten more football than we'll ever know. I mean, let's be honest. The guy, he's brilliant. He's a brilliant coach.
And so if you get him in that situation, it's like the Chargers, and they need to tighten things up. They need Bill's like a little bit better execution. Because how many one possession games have they lost? It's always like so close but yet so far with the Chargers. Give me Bill Belichick, and he brings Bill O'Brien, just an offensive guy with him to run the offense. Like, I'm still all in. I don't think Bill Belichick cannot coach football, but this is what we see is sometimes even good football coaches end up doing too much. I think Bill Belichick has done that with this roster. I don't think he should be in total control of personnel because the offense he wants to run, it won't work unless you have a really good quarterback. He's never been about, investing in high-level talent in free agents. It was always like, it's like Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, they brought in Juju Smith-Schuster. It's always kind of that mid-level offensive guy. And if you go back to the one time that they did swing for the fences, what happened? With Randy Moss. They went undefeated all the way up into the Super Bowl. But again, it goes back to that dude at quarterback. And so I think Bill Belichick can still be a good coach in the NFL. Bill Belichick losing some responsibility, just being the head ball coach, going into a situation like the Chargers. And you know what? Then I would start feeling a little bit different. Then I'd be like, all right, I think this team, whatever curse is on this franchise, something that Jeff Symbieta likes to talk about all the time is, well, it's the Chargers. They're going to charge her. I think he's a dude that could turn that corner.
If there's anyone that can do it, it's him. And it's interesting because the pieces are in place. If I'm Belichick, I don't want to go to Washington or Chicago because there's too much of a rebuild. Although Chicago does seem like they've started that, and of Washington and Chicago, I take Chicago. But if you walk in to the Chargers building, you've got a stud quarterback, you've got receivers, you've got a good defense, or good players at least on defense. It's a great setup for someone to come in late in their career and just try and win from day one.
Absolutely. And it's too, if you're New England and you're Robert Kraft and you've watched this New England Patriots dynasty play out for 2 decades with Tom Brady, you finally moved on. You saw Mac Jones not quite hit. And then you're sitting there, and the New England Patriots could be in the Caleb Williams, Drake May conversation.
I mean, right now, they're
right there.
Number 1 overall with a Carolina pick.
And so with what you've seen, do you trust Bill Belichick with Caleb Williams or Drake May? Do you say, all right, he just needs another one of those guys? He just needs that high level. Well, Mac Jones was first round pick. Yeah, but Mac Jones isn't Caleb Williams or Drake May. And so are we then getting into Greg Popovich territory where they stuck around, let it play out. Now you got Victor Wembanyama. You're building for the future. And how many straight games? Spurs lost now.
Yeah,
it ain't that easy,
no,
even with Victor Wembanyama on the floor.
See, I think Belichick got that chance a couple of years ago when they got Mac Jones, and obviously we've seen it didn't work out. So that's what brings me back to the Chargers idea. They've got the pieces in place. I think he's the type of coach that could go in and just start moving the chess pieces and start playing right away. There's no draft considerations, which obviously, yeah, they're going to draft, they're going to need people, but you're not wondering who your next quarterback is. And I think that is the real key to this. Having the quarterback in place puts him...
Let him do his defense.
Exactly, yeah. You've got the offense under control. Focus on the defense that, needs help badly. It's a good situation to walk into.
Where should he go? Is this the end of Bill Belichick and New England? I don't think he's done coaching. I think there's still plenty left in Bill Belichick. And you saw, too, even just his interaction, if you go back to College Game Day, the Army-Navy game. Bill Belichick was out there, Robert Kraft. He loves football. And sometimes even good things come to an end. And that's what we're seeing with New England. That's what we're seeing with Draymond Green. So what's next? I do believe Bill Belichick will be coaching in the NFL next season. And where do you think he should coach? Where would you like him to coach if your team could potentially be looking for a head coach? 505-246-0610. That is the Sports Animal Hotline, the Sports Animal text line this morning in the 9 o'clock hour. Stay tuned. I know it's a while. You're on your drive. You're on your interesting commute this morning. I had sleet, hail. Part of the way in from the west side, it's rainy. People are going to be slowing down. So just be patient, y'all. Take your time. Get to work this morning. But in the 9 o'clock hour, we have a pair of tickets to Isleta New Mexico Bowl for you, New Mexico State and Fresno State this Saturday at University Stadium. But when we come back on the other side, who was embarrassed about their performance on Sunday, and what do we make of the NFL subplot this season? The rise of the backup quarterbacks. And can you believe who was the AFC and NFC Offensive Players of the Week? I just can't. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
New Mexico sunshine is awesome, but it's hard on your...
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Sucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
You ready, Sal? Ready?
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, my mom.
As Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Rosendo Nahad here, President of Carpenters Local 1319.
Juan Junior Gonzalez, Warden of Local 1319. Some people have a misconception about what a carpenter does.
The carpentry trade entails more than just woodworking or building houses. We are responsible for 85% of a construction job site. Everything from the superintendent on down. We have a great apprenticeship program. Information can be found on our website.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, ripped, plastered, taint, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Prosky-Mir here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Try this shit better than all my intentions. I can show that you got my attention. See your baby like you to the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
For and AM 610, the sports animal.
Moving on. Could another big-time head coach be on the move? What about the Steelers situation? Get a little messy around Pittsburgh and Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger speaking out on the tradition is done. You have the issues with the young wide receivers acting out on the sideline. Made that move, rare move, in season, firing offensive coordinator Matt Canada. And now down the stretch they go with Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback as they're trying to contend in that AFC wildcard race, which has the Steelers, Colts, Texans, Broncos, Bengals, and Bills at 7 and 6. But tonight, oh man, Al Michaels is going to be just so excited for this one on Amazon Prime. But the 5-8 Los Angeles Chargers, the 5-8 Las Vegas Raiders, Easton Stick, and it is going to be Aiden O'Connell at quarterback for the Raiders. Thursday Night Football on the Sports Animal. You're home for Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday night football. But this Raiders team, coming up a 3-0 loss to the Vikings. Wide receiver Devontae Adams said, quote, I mean, it's embarrassing. Now, that's the main thing that drives it, but you walk off the field and you've got a lot of fans that pay their money to come see you play, and you go up and put up a goose egg. It almost looked worse that they only scored 3, too. You've seen plenty of teams win 20, 22-0, whatever, but when the other team wins by 3 and they only score 3, it just looks horrible. So hopefully we don't make any more history like that on this side. But that's Devontae Adams. Just dealing with not even kicking a field goal against the Vikings and losing 3-0. You have Aiden O'Connell, Easton Stick. Oh, by the way, just in time for the first round of the fantasy football playoffs, when you're like, oh, Justin Herbert's not playing. Oh, Keenan Allen. Nah, he's not playing either.
I don't know anything about the fantasy playoffs because I did not do that well this year. But, yeah, that'd be a bad spot to be in. If you were riding those guys to the end and then, sorry about your luck.
108 receptions for Keenan Allen this season.
That's all he needed.
And, yeah, he's good. He doesn't want to play in a short week. They had a heel injury pop up. And he's been playing through a lot of stuff. They've been managing the veteran wide receiver, but you get that tonight. And who knows? Could this be just a fairy tale 4 weeks for Easton Stick? As we've seen the Aiden O'Connell story play out, and it has been great. And Antonio Pierce, interim head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, he's still riding that out, saying, hey, no need to put the veteran Jimmy Garoppolo in. We're kind of digging our hole. This is who we are. This is what they are moving forward. Who's going to be the head coach of the Raiders?
That's a good question. The Raiders...
Are they going to try to go after Bill Belichick?
Well, you know, the funny thing is, Tom Brady is part of the ownership group. So it's kind of interesting.
Is he yet, though? Have they finalized that? They got that through?
That's a really great question.
I still think it's up in the air.
Well, let's find out.
They're trying to get Tom Brady in there. That would be interesting. I wonder... Tommy just doing his little owner thing. If he comes in and is Bill Belichick, then work for Tom Brady if he's part owner of the Raiders?
Could he handle that?
If he comes into that point in time. But what we're seeing tonight and going into the NFL this weekend, you're going to have 55 and 56. That is the number of quarterbacks who have started a game in the NFL this season. When we're breaking down Joe Flacco and giving the 8-5 Cleveland Browns life, when we're talking about if you were asked to make a bet, just 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, and said, would you bet Zach Wilson would be named Offensive Player of the Week? You would have said, heck no. What are the odds? I'll take them.
Yeah.
There's just $100 right now in my pocket. No.
Feels like free money.
Free money. The AFC Offensive Player of the Week was Zach Wilson.
Yes, it was.
The NFC Offensive Player of the Week. I thought this one didn't. I thought there was better NFC performances out there.
When you only
than Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, he threw for like 134 yards or something like that.
He had one touchdown, ran for 70 yards.
I mean, yeah.
All right. Come on. I see what you're doing there, NFL.
Yeah.
We're trying to play in the Tommy DeVito. Give him the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Okay. He did it on Monday Night Football. Nice touchdown pass. Let it drive to get in field goal range. That happened. Quarterback injuries in the NFL. It was 60-plus quarterbacks that started last year. But even last season, outside of maybe a couple Mike White games, it didn't feel like we had backups that were getting our attention like this. Like becoming something. Winning a couple games. Let alone playing in meaningful games down the stretch.
Yeah, I think back to this time last year, and you're absolutely right. I wasn't looking at the schedule saying, oh, backup versus backup, backup versus backup, backup versus starter, you know. I looked at the schedule this week. There's only a handful of games that don't have a backup.
Yeah, 3 of the wild card teams, potentially 4, could be playing a backup quarterback in a meaningful game in the AFC. Of course, we look at the turnover that the Minnesota Vikings are going to Nick Mullins this week from Joshua Dobbs. If Geno Smith comes back, then you'll have your starting quarterbacks for the Packers, Rams, Seahawks, Falcons, and Saints. But it's really this AFC playoff race when it comes to the wild card. If you're the Denver Broncos right now, if you're the Buffalo Bills, it's go time. Like, this is it. Like, you should be the teams that find a way to get those last spots.
So when you were gone a couple of weeks ago, Jeff and I had a red zone question, so I'll bring it up to you. This probably was about 3 weeks ago. Bill Pullian, former Colts GM, came out and said the backup quarterback is the least important position on the entire field. That essentially, of course, he had Peyton Manning, but if he loses his QB1, he's considers it done. So he said he wants to spend the least amount on it. He just sees it as a total throwaway. Then Mike Greenberg the next day responded to that saying, no, I actually think it's the second most important position on the entire team, because if your QB1 goes out, you need that guy to step in and potentially go on a run, whatever the case may be. So where do you stand on that? Is it most important, least important, somewhere in the middle?
I think that this year is shifting how important it is. Because if it was a normal year and say there was 1 or 2 starters that went down for the season, I don't think those teams are able to compete the same way. The fact we're talking about multiple starters being out, I think that levels the playing field a little bit for those teams that are playing with their backups. And so I'm leaning more towards, I'm not going to overpay or overspend for a backup, because where did Joe Flacco come from? And then it's also the classic case of, there's a reason that backup quarterbacks are guys that have been in the league forever. Because do you want that rookie guy that you just throw in there? Because it didn't quite work out for Cleveland with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They did not feel that they're in a position to wait. Now he did get hurt, and that's why he did not start the last couple of games, and they brought in Joe Flacco. But I would be leaning towards, I still want the best available backup I can, but as hard it is to find 32 of these guys that are quality starters, I don't think that there's an exact path to then finding a backup quarterback. Like, do you just pay a veteran because he's been there forever? Do you give that young guy a shot? So I actually understand his point. Like, if I have one of those top guys, I'm not going to necessarily overspend just to have a backup quarterback, because in other seasons, you don't see this many backups playing. And I think that's what's kind of leveled the playing field when it comes to the wild card race. Because you're talking about Gardner Minshew, Mitch Trubisky, Jake Browning playing. And so I think it's a question that doesn't have an exact answer, which is, that's not the things we're looking for. But I would lean towards, I'm not going to overpay for it, because it's hard enough to find 32 of these guys to be good starting quarterbacks. You almost just have to keep your fingers crossed and get lucky. That's why I feel with bad quarterbacks, is get lucky and find a guy lightning in the bottle. I know that the Giants aren't necessarily in a playoff race right now, but where'd Tommy DeVito come from? Because Tyrod Taylor got hurt again, and then somehow, some way, they put a plan together and they win 3 games in a row with Tommy DeVito. So I don't think it's as simple as, hey, just make sure you invest X amount of money in the back quarterback position. It's hard enough to find these guys to be good, competent starters. But what say you? 505-246-0610, that's Sports Animal Hotline. Sports Animal text line this morning. We're scheduled to be joined by Jeff Grammer as well, dropping in, hanging out with us for a while. He said he's going to be here at 8. We shall see. Who knows what's going on out there with the weather around the city. Some people like, it was just raining at my house. Other people like myself, I woke up in the middle of the night to a hailstorm that was coming down. Especially if you're trying to come in from other places in the city or outside the city where you got some snow. Take your time. It's just one of those days. When we come back on the other side, what we're seeing when it comes to updates with Global Football, another name in terms of the coaching staff for Bronco Mendenhall. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Sucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, rip, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman!
This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Miller here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Shorty, she better than all my intentions. I can show that you got my attention. See your baby like you do the business. Touchdown and tell you we're busy.
For 50 years, Clark's Pet Emporium has been your pet's favorite stop. Santa Paws has left thousands of holiday gifts for your furry, scaly, and winged family members. Pick up a gift for a pet lover or even a new pet. Clark's has shelves full of pet beds, sweaters, toys and treats, habitats, and tanks galore. Locally owned and operated with 2 convenient locations for all your pet needs. 11200 Manal Northeast or 4914 Lomas Northeast. Clark's is celebrating 50 years. Thanks to you, the Christmas Superstore. ClarksPets.com.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I've ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Sweet Rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
You ready, Scout? You ready?
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, my mom.
As Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
Football season rolls on. Thursday Night Football, Raiders and Chargers. Have fun with that tonight. Raise your hand if you're playing a Charger in your lineup. I am. Let's go. Easton Stick. Throw the football to Austin Eckler. You know, I'm thinking I really would like 7 catches, 50 yards, maybe a rushing touchdown. Be happy with that. You're in the first round of your fantasy football playoffs. JJ Buck DC with you. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animals. We talked about it earlier in the week as Football Scoop reported one of the first additions to Bronco Mendenhall's coaching staff at the University of New Mexico was Charles Mack. He was with Bronco Mendenhall back at Virginia, and you're going to see a lot of those names. It's going to be a lot of people that coach with Bronco Mendenhall at Virginia. They're going to fulfill his Lobo football staff this season. He's a secondary coach, and Football Scoop on it again yesterday for their report. Vanderbilt defensive backs coach and former defensive coordinator Nick Howell is set to join Mendenhall staff and take, quote, a top-level defensive staff position. Howell worked under Bronco Mendenhall in 14 years at BYU and Virginia, and he's coming in, according to Football Scoop, to join the staff. So we're going to get a lot of that over the next few days, finalizing the staff, and then it's hitting the portal. And it's the offers, it's the players that you want to bring back, it's the players that you want to recruit to come in, and we'll keep an eye on that over the coming days. Last night, it wasn't just the Draymond Green news. That was crazy. Did you see the end of Milwaukee and Indiana? Bucks and Pacers got a little salty. Of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo, career-high 64 points, setting a franchise record. And did you know that the Indiana Pacers tried to take the game ball? The Indiana Pacers tried to take the game ball and give it to Oscar Tshiebwe, who scored a grand total of 1 point in the game, but it was his first career regular season point. Now, he scored in the in-season tournament, but I guess that doesn't count for some reason. I thought it did. At least it counts record-wise, but I guess not stat-wise.
It's interesting, yeah. On fantasy basketball, I remember a week or two ago, I opened it up, and there were a bunch of games, but nothing listed, because, yeah, it's statistically is separate.
So Oscar Tshiebwe scores a point. The rookie from Kentucky gets a point, and the Pacers are like, we got you the game ball. Giannis was livid, and that's why you saw him sprinting around. People thought he was running down the tunnel to fight someone because he kind of gotten into it with Tyrese Halliburton, the Pacers guard. He knocked him down after a dunk early in the game. No, he was mad that he didn't get the game ball. He wanted his game ball.
Well, you drop 60, you get the ball, right?
That's just...
It's wild, though. It looks wild on TV when you have no idea what's going on.
It was like legit, Giannis is running down the tunnel to fight someone. Oh, he's just looking for the game ball of his 64 points.
I would not want 7-foot Giannis running after me to fight.
He was 24 of 32 from the free throw line.
That is unreal.
In that game.
24 points at the free throw line? Come on.
20 of 28 from the field. And those are the moments when Giannis is playing like that. And you're just like, my goodness.
Yeah, those are the moments where you're looking at him like, yeah, he's number one. And
yeah, like this is the best player in the league. I know we talk about Nikola Jokic and what he's done, back-to-back MVPs, coming off an NBA championship. But then Giannis is on one of these things, and you're just like, when he puts his mind into it, puts his head down, goes to the basket, he's unstoppable.
He really is. I remember a few years ago there was a debate whether or not he could actually dunk from the 3-point line. He's that athletic. Like, we don't have that conversation about
I want to
Joker.
see All-Star Weekend. Let's do it.
If that happens, I don't know how I would react, because that would be probably, I don't know, man. I'd have to get him drug checked or something.
Giannis versus Victor Wembanyama. First, I want to see who can take fewer steps to get from baseline to baseline with the basketball, not traveling.
Wow, 94 feet.
And then
8 steps or something.
At what point could they leave the floor and dunk a basketball? As you remember, Michael Jordan was soaring in front of that free throw line. You're like, oh my gosh. The poster on everyone's wall. One of these dudes just jumps from the 3-point line. Get out of here. Get out of here. They're aliens.
Yes.
We don't have to wait. You know who just sat down? He was staring me in the face. It's Jeff Kramer of the Albuquerque Journal. He's joining us, hanging out. We're talking sports and everything that comes with it. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife. And our daughter. They didn't make it.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Spout, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, my mom.
As Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit hanswhitlerauto.com.
Hi, I'm Steve Sucker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.
Of the year, Jeff Symbieta and JJ Bond.
Well, anytime you can go from sportscaster of the year to columnist of the year, you're doing something pretty good. And we always got to make sure that we stay on top of our game here in the opening drive. You know, the 1 week a year that Jeff Symbieta gets a little busy, has to do some work, put on that sport coat, welcoming the teams, Fresno State, New Mexico State for the Zeta New Mexico this Saturday. We got to step it up. We got to find people to come in. Former NFL coaches, golden voices, Josh Hushon, and now man who's coming to Swiss Army knife in this city, in the sports media world. It is Jeff Grammer of the Albuquerque Journal. What's up, man?
How's it going?
Going good.
I'm glad I get to fill in for the other Jeff. The guy who spells it the weird way, Jeff. Who does that?
I know, because anytime I think of Jeff, I think of G.
Right. That's I have told the story before, but I did work at Toys R Us in college, and Jeffrey the Giraffe is spelled with the G, so I think they kind of had to hire me.
They just looked at the resume like you're hired. Yeah. It doesn't even matter what you do. You can work here. That works.
Name at the top. They said, got it.
I miss Toys R Us. Those are good old days. Yeah. Toys R Us. A good Friday night after school going to Blockbuster. Or Hastings.
I killed some hours in Hastings.
Just walking around.
I always loved Hastings because you could buy used books and games and stuff like that. Yeah. So when you're on a college budget, you can actually have some things.
Yeah, Hastings. I enjoyed Hastings they had a lot more. Blockbuster is a classic. All right, you go in, you get your VHS tape, you get your Nintendo 64 game for the night, and that's what you do.
Kids these days will never know the joy and the pain of seeing the movie you want. The box on the wall, and then you have to look behind it to see if the actual
any cartridges or sets are there.
So at first they had the actual movie behind it, and you had to go take it up. It was in this plastic sleeve, and then they started putting the little ticket kind of plastic thing in it. Oh man, it was so painful. I mean, there were times that you'd take that little sleeve up to the front, and then they wouldn't have it. They couldn't find it or something like that, or you'd wait till whatever the 4 o'clock drop off time when people were turning in movies to see if you could get. Rocky IV. So, yeah.
Oh, the good old days. The good old days of what you can do on a Friday night. Oh, it is. It was the bat signal. That's what happened.
He can't stand to have.
No.
Did I hear there's another Jeff?
He's hold up. That cannot happen. Mr. Jeff Symbieta, kind enough to give us some of his time this morning here on the opening drive. What's up, man?
How does it in the open of the show? Is my name still in the open? I missed it. Is it Geoff, or how is it in the open of the show?
It should be Geoff, the only real way to pronounce it.
How come you don't pronounce it that way, though? How come you pronounce it the right way, but spell it in such a jacked up way?
No.
How you living, boys?
Good, man. How you living?
I'm glad the rain's coming today and not in 2 days from now. How about that?
Absolutely. Make sure a nice little rain, sleet, hail, whatever it may be, wipe away all that stuff, and it's going to be great for Saturday.
It should paint the mountains, right? It should look. I mean, the Sandias should look beautiful on national TV, don't you think?
Just look fantastic.
It's one of the best backdrops of college football, anyway. And if you could get a little white on that snow, or a little snow on that mountain, a little white on that snow.
And Jeff, you're probably more familiar. One of the national reporters. And I met him. God, gosh, I should know what it is. But anyway, he was doing his round of all the places, and put out one of the most underrated settings in college football was the University of New Mexico, and talked about the backdrop and said, of course, it'd be great when the stadium's full. But I mean, you look out there, and I mean, it's not BYU sitting right there on the mountains like that, but it is a pretty beautiful setting.
Yeah, it really is, and Wilson Stadium has kind of the same thing for a high school stadium here. Not going to get the same exposure, obviously, but yeah, the Sandias, it's another one of those things that I think sometimes I hate to be that guy, but I do think we take it for granted a little bit. Like It's a beautiful setting for some things in this town, and sports is certainly one of them. The Isotopes and United's temporary home have the same view, and that's good, man. I love it.
Yeah, the ball pitch, as I like to call it.
The ball pitch.
It's well, it's fair, right? It's a field and a pitch because you can't play soccer on a field. Anyway, what's up? You guys all right? I just want to check in. And
well, it's great to hear from you, man. I've been worried about you. I haven't heard from you this week. I'm like, oh, it's okay. I know he's busy. He's got to do a lot of work this time of the year. But teams can't. Well, in New Mexico State rolled up yesterday. Had a big event out there. They're eating pizza, playing a main event. Having some fun before we're getting back to work.
Yeah, no, it's actually good. I'm going in, and I'm going to go out to practices today, and I'll see the ticket report. Everybody's asking. I would know we're over 21,000 yesterday, so there's just a different feel, and it's really cool. And the New Mexico State piece, like I was with the Fresno State people, and they're excited. And by the way, like I spent some time with their coaching staff. They're really good. JJ, you and I think, firmly believed after about 5, 6, 7 weeks that they were the best group of 5 teams, didn't we?
They were right. Yeah, they were at the top early on. They were.
Yeah, and I guess they just got fatigued, and the word is maybe they weren't as deep as they should be, and they had some injuries. But they're pretty fired up. They've got a young coach who it means a lot. You got an interim coach who's head coach for the first time, and it's a big deal to him and to that staff. And the players seem pretty fired up. And the New Mexico State thing, obviously, I've been doing this for 18 years now, and I've always said when it's right, I want to host New Mexico State, and I was with them last night for a little bit too, and I firmly believe they're excited about this, and they get the magnitude of what it means for their alumni. Jeff, you're an alum, right? This is kind of a big deal. This is the best season they've had in 60 plus years, and you're probably, well, I know you are, you're closer to the alumni base than I, but I'm feeling like a swell of something that I've never felt in the 27 years I've been around here with New Mexico State football.
Yeah, I have some friends that are coming from out of state that are coming just for the bowl game. I know a lot of people are excited about it. It lines up, in a lot of ways to, unintended consequences of what's happening with the basketball program, but it kind of lines up with a celebration too of as good as football was last year. They hadn't gone through what the heck they went through last year with everything else with basketball, and this is sort of a celebration, not just because of the bowl game, I think, but because of a pretty rough year in NMSU athletics, and you get to cap off that year with a bit of a celebration. I think a lot of people in the NMSU community need this and are looking forward to it.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with the staff, and Jerry Kill and I consider him a friend. I love what he's done, and I spent a lot of time last night with Tony Sanchez and some of the coaches, and they bought in and they love it. Like the players love this guy, and he's old school now. I was in one of their meetings yesterday. He don't play, and what they've done, the turnaround is really good. And there's been some mention of basketball. It's kind of crazy. I want you to think back when Bob Davie took New Mexico to 2 straight bowl games. Like what was it, JJ, 15 and 16, I think.
Yeah.
And that's when the Lobo basketball was down, right? That was the end of the Craig Neal era, and Lobo basketball was struggling a little bit. And I would love to see these 2 schools. It would be so good for the state, just thrive both in football and basketball. And I've always said, why can't they be both a football and a basketball school? But I'd love to see these schools be up in both at the same time. I just think the energy would be great. And I think the fan bases would love it. But, it's kind of weird, Jeff, that you bring that up because it kind of happened the same way with UNM.
Yeah, it really did. Again, circumstances are different, but the feel of the Lobo program in those years that Bob Davie was doing so well created, like it or not, it created a little bit of animosity across the street over there at between University Stadium and the Pit. And I think it was because you had one proud basketball program that was on hard times, and then you had the football program across the street that was feeling some success. There were some rough feelings there for a while within that.
I think there were some personality issues there too, right?
100%. Yeah. I don't know that the right personalities were in place to handle those two, to handle maybe the success and the struggles of the 2 programs at the times those 2 programs were having success and struggles. And personalities make businesses, right? In a lot of ways, and I do think that the personality was a big part of that.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. there's a lot of parallels, but I do know the excitement. I've never felt this excitement around New Mexico State football. Jeff, I used to do, and I told JJ this last week, when I was doing those Aggie Vision games for, 5-6 years on TV, and I would go down there for the November games, and I saw a lot of blowout football. I called a lot of games that were 40-something to something teen, and I would go down for those November games, and, there was 2,000 people in the building. I went down for that Jacksonville State game this year, their last game of the year, and by far the biggest crowd I've ever seen down there in 27 years in November, the most energy, the most interest. And, JJ, what do we say all the time? Winning's fun, right? The cure-all is winning, and boy, winning has been fun for them.
And it should be a lot of fun this weekend. Of course, Jeff Symbieta joining us on his show here in the opening drive, but he was doing the big-time job, executive director of the Athletic New Mexico Bowl. 18 years, man. That's just awesome. And I know we've been talking about that and the little things that you're doing for year number 18. This is like a great game to have one of the local teams in, to, celebrate a milestone like that. And I know you mentioned, tickets selling really well. It's Albuquerque. So people are going to wake up on Saturday and be like, oh, it's Athletic New Mexico Bowl. New Mexico State, the Aggies, let's go. Be prepared, take your time, get out there early to enjoy the game.
Yeah, here's one of the things that when you go out there, get your tickets and try to get in. Kickoff's 3:45, and I've said this for a lot of stuff, right? I mean, if you grab your last beer from the tailgate and try to get in at 3:30, and you miss the first quarter, like, it's kind of on you, right? There's going to be a lot of people going in. Get in early. We got the flyover. We've got the bands. We do have a pregame entertainment. There's stuff to do. You can get a beer inside. It's not only out in the parking lot that you can get a beer. You can go in and get one and find your seat. There's going to be people there, and then everybody always goes to those two gates, the northeast and the northwest. There's two gates in the middle on the north side. There's a gate on the west side. There's south side gates. Utilize some of the other gates to try to get in, and I'm working, really, really closely, and I appreciate Ed Manzanares and Matt McKernan and Daniel Wines and all the people over at UNM. It's their facility, and we're working with them to try and make this as fan-friendly and efficient as possible, because I know people around here, they're used to going, and look, hopefully it gets better, but football hasn't been attended, so you can just walk in. It's going to be a little different on Saturday. Traffic's going to be different. Really, really, really try to get there early if you want to, be there for kickoff in the first quarter, because there will be people trying to get in.
It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see you out there on Saturday. I know you're busy. Got a lot of things going on. Still a ton of great events for this New Mexico Bowl. Have fun, man. Enjoy it.
Appreciate you guys. Have fun. I'll see you Monday, JJ and Jeff. I'll try to call in. What they say Thursday. Holy smokes! I'll try to get you tomorrow, but. Thanks for allowing me a little bit of Geoff's time. I appreciate it.
You got it. Anytime we can sneak in another Jeff on the opening drive, it's what we do. Jeff Symbieta, of course, the host of this fine show and the executive director of the Athletic New Mexico Bowl, Saturday, New Mexico State and Fresno State, in a 9 o'clock hour. We have a pair of tickets to give away for the Athletic New Mexico Bowl, so stay tuned. If you don't have yours yet, you can take the chance to wait and call in today and tomorrow, but if you want to go get your tickets right now. Coming up at 8:30 this morning, Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com, will join us. I got some quarterback questions for Jerry Palm when it comes to the Heisman Trophy winner and the quarterbacks participating in the college football playoff. And also, there's a big-time college basketball game on Saturday that involves one of his teams and the number one team in the country. Jeff Grammer's in studio, DC. JJ Buck's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This report. We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. but it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, and my mom.
As Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
For your surprisingly great rates, contact your local State Farm agent today.
If you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Marty Size in Albuquerque today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman!
This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you.
I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
Rosendo Nahad here, president of Carpenters Local 1319.
Juan Junior Gonzalez, warden of Local 1319. Some people have a misconception about what a carpenter does.
The carpentry trade entails more than just woodworking or building houses. We are responsible for 85% of a construction job site. Everything from the superintendent on down. We have a great apprenticeship program. The information can be found on our website.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
not looking like that against anybody else except 2 teams so far this year. Colorado State blew them out, and UNLV ended up being, 14 or 15 point? I can't remember what the final score was. It was either 14 or 15 points, and UNLV was in control throughout, and their last loss last year was in the Elite Eight to San Diego State. So Creighton's last 3 losses were to the Mountain West. And otherwise, Creighton has been a pretty consistent top 15 team.
They're 8-2 right now.
They're 8-2 right now with 2 losses to the Mountain West, and they've been looking pretty good against a lot of really good teams, except the Mountain West. And that's just weird. I mean, it is one of those kind of fluky things a little bit. But at Richard Pitino's press conference yesterday, and he has said it before, it wasn't the first time he said it, he sees no reason why, from a basketball standpoint, the Mountain West can't become, if not already is, because of the Pac-12's struggles and certainly the Pac-12's future. There's no reason the Mountain West can't be the Big East of the West, is what he says. Now, there's a lot of things that go in with that. The Big East doesn't have football, so it does focus on basketball, that kind of stuff. But his point is, there's no reason that the Mountain West can't be considered a really good basketball conference out west, especially with the Pac-12 dissolving.
And become a consistent multi-bid league. And we're not talking just 2 teams.
No, and if
4 teams.
They've had 4 in back-to-back years, and if you look at the conference ratings, the Power 6 structure, which is about to be a Power 5 because the Pac-12's gone, but the Power 6 structure in college basketball, the 7th rated conference out of 32 conferences is the Mountain West. And if you kind of look at the numbers that go with that, I'm talking Ken Palm right now, but if you look at any of the metrics, the Mountain West is the top league in basketball right outside of that Power 6 structure. And their numbers are a lot closer to the Power 6 than it is to the rest of the 32 conferences. And they're a pretty good basketball conference. The bottom has been traditionally what has dragged this league down. There's usually been a couple good teams every season. This year, I think there's 4 or 5 pretty good teams. And the bottom isn't that bad anymore. San Jose State, Air Force. This year, the worst team metrics-wise is Fresno State and Wyoming. And, they're both top 200.
I was going to say they're supposed, because sometimes you see that and that's
like 280.
Maybe even
San Jose State for a while
300s.
was in the 300s. Yep. And now the worst teams in the Mountain West are still hovering around a top 200 team, and that makes league play so much more valuable.
Yeah, and that one of the things we'll get into this morning is what is league plays. How do you make that as meaningful as those other leagues? Because that's the difference. It feels like no matter what happens, when the Big East goes into conference play, the Big Ten, the SEC, it's just the rankings just skyrocket.
Yeah.
Regardless, and they don't have to worry about non-conference play. But a team like the Mountain West, it's a little more focus on making sure you don't have as many bad losses in conference play. But then you also have to schedule up, and you're going to lose some games, just like Boise State has done this season. They have a hard non-conference strength schedule, but they lost some of those games.
Yeah, and I definitely have some thoughts on the balance between scheduling up and doing, though they wish they could have done better. I mean, New Mexico's schedule hasn't been great by any stretch of the imagination, but your value to your conference is your net ranking. That is what creates the quad system. Like their schedule or not, UNM has the number 2 net ranking in the Mountain West right now. They've brought more value to the league. You could argue from that standpoint for what conference play will bring the entire league. They've brought more value to the league with that schedule they've played than San Diego State, than Boise State, than Nevada, than anybody but Colorado State. Now, you may not like that, and I see flaws with that situation, but the reality is the number next to your name sets up the quadrant system. And at the end of the year, the selection committee says how many quad 1 wins did you have? How many quad 2 wins did you have? New Mexico has created a situation where they will be a quad 1 win for some Mountain West teams if they can beat New Mexico. Now, the bottom line is you just win in conference play and you take care of your own situation. But as far as who brought the most value in this non-conference so far to the Mountain West, it's been Colorado State 1, but New Mexico number 2, and that is against the schedule they've played. So I know Boise State and San Diego State, rightfully so, will point out the schedule they've played every single year. You either got to win some of those games or you can't schedule that tough because you're not helping the league if your net ranking is 100 and it could be in the top 40.
And that point doesn't matter if you have a top 50, 60 strength of schedule. That is Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. DC, JJ Buck with you. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Jared Palm at CBS Sports because I have some questions. Not just about the Heisman Trophy winner, the Heisman finalist, but the quarterbacks in the college football playoff. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Brought to you by Tomasitas, where they never mess with the chili.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Jose Nahad here, President of Carpenters Local 1319. Juan Junior Gonzalez, Warden of Local 1319. Some people have a misconception about what a carpenter does. The carpentry trade entails more than just woodworking or building houses. We are responsible for 85% of a construction job site. Everything from the superintendent on down. We have a great apprenticeship program. The information can be found on our website.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, rip, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
These days, it's important to know people and businesses you can trust. There's a lot of places where you can buy a vehicle, but there's only a few local dealerships where you'll find honest people who have your best interests in mind. And Fiesta Kia is one of them. We've been helping our neighbors save money and drive dependable cars for years, and we'd love to help you. With new Kias arriving daily, you'll love our selection and the peace of mind you'll get driving a Kia from Fiesta. So stop by and see us today at Fiesta Kia on Lomas, or just start driving now at fiestakia.com.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
Burglary takes place in the United States approximately every 15 seconds. International Protective Service is your answer for commercial and residential security in all of Albuquerque. IPS will work with your monitoring company for fast, reliable response times. You can rest easy knowing you, your family, or your company is watched over by International Protective Service. Call International Protective Service today.
For your surprisingly great race, contact your local State Farm agent today.
Bowl season starts this weekend. This is led in New Mexico, 3:45 kickoff. Get out there early if you're planning to enjoy and attend the festivities. It's going to be popping. New Mexico State and Fresno State. I'm expecting a good game because Fresno State, yeah, they're frustrated. They lost the Lobos down the stretch. This was a team that went from, hey, we could be one of the Group of 5 representatives in one of the New Year's Six Bowls to sliding down, and they're playing a good New Mexico State team. And that's why I am expecting a good game, because Fresno State can come in with that edge and come in with the frustration of how they finished the season and then go, okay, you want to put us against New Mexico State in New Mexico? Let's go.
I think I was skimming back to way back when I was the sports editor at the Las Cruces Sun News, and I looked up a couple of the scores that I covered the New Mexico State Aggies when they were playing Fresno State and Boise State in the old WAC, and yeah, it was pretty ugly. It's been a little bit of a change, though.
A little chance at redemption. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. It's Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, JJ Buck with you, and we are joined Thursdays, all football season, all college basketball season long, by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Jerry Palm at CBSSports.com. Jerry, good morning, man. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I am doing good, doing really good. I wanted to start with what we saw happen this past weekend with the players that were invited to New York for the Heisman Trophy presentation. LSU's Jaden Daniels won the award. But what did you think about the group and then just the season that Daniels had at LSU?
Yeah, it was, well, I thought it was a good group. Certainly you had 3 quarterbacks that all really had tremendous years and definitely belonged on that podium. Daniels, his year, he put up video game numbers this year, which is how you win the Heisman, from the middle of the rankings as opposed to a team at the top of the rankings. LSU was the most efficient offense in the country. They had the most yards and points, relative offense yardage and points of any team this season by a lot. Such a big number that I had to keep double checking the stat to make sure it was right. And he was, all of that. Well, not all of it. I mean, obviously he had to have guys to throw to and guys who could run and block, but his NFL potential is tremendous because he's an accurate thrower. He's mobile. He's strong. Everything that you could want in a modern NFL quarterback, this kid has.
And you look at the 3 quarterbacks that were in New York. Now, only one of those 3 quarterbacks will be in the college football playoff. You got Washington quarterback Michael Penix. Now you got Penix versus Quinn Ewers of Texas, Jalen Milroe, Alabama versus J.J. McCarthy of Michigan. Who do you think, which of those quarterbacks is the most important or under the most pressure to perform in the college football playoff?
Ooh, they really all are. I don't know that the pressure is any different for any of them. Maybe McCarthy, because he's the most experienced of that group, him and Penix. But Michigan, has been there now. This is their 3rd straight year. They've yet to win a game. They were the higher seed last year and got beat by TCU, the team that a lot of people thought wasn't good enough to be in the playoff, which is not to say they shouldn't have been in it. But, so I would say probably McCarthy. Because Michigan this is now their 3rd straight attempt, and they're the number 1 seed.
Hey, Jerry, I cover college basketball primarily, and I'm curious your thoughts on the expansion of the playoff system next year compared to the NCAA tournament. Is this something, look, college football is a different beast in this country, I know it is, but is it something where the brackets are going to be filled out in offices around the country and stuff like that in the future? Obviously, I think it is a good thing and most people want it, but I'm just curious how big you think the playoff expansion is going to be from a fan perspective.
Yeah, that's a good question. We may have to wait and see. I think it's going to be well received generally because the problem that we had this year with the committee leaving out an undefeated major conference team will no longer be a thing. Florida State would automatically qualify and they could seed them anywhere they want. It doesn't matter. But the problem with the playoff in college football has always been it's not been big enough to include all of the teams that are capable of winning it. And I think that problem gets solved at least initially. With this new system, when you've got 12 teams, you're going to go 10 or 11 deep. The top 10 or 11 are going to get in every year, and maybe even 12 if the fifth qualifying champion is among that group of teams. So it's I don't know if we're going to be filling out office pools. Maybe it's not as big of a tournament. It doesn't go on as long. It's not going to take an entire month. Like the NCAA basketball tournament does. I don't know if we'll grab that much attention yet, but maybe when people warm up to it, it will.
Jerry Palm at CBS Sports joining us here on the opening drive this morning. And Jerry, there's one of one when we talk about Deion Sanders and what he was able to do. But what I thought was interesting is, there's been so much talk, and I've heard it from ADs. We heard it here in the coaching search of embracing the transfer portal, name, image, and likeness. Coaches have to be different. But when I take a step back and look at, the coaches that have been hired this offseason, it still feels like ultimately it's about finding the best football coach as opposed to, someone that just has to be able to sell. What are kind of you noticing when you're just looking at all these hires?
Yeah, you can't just be a salesman. And even Deion Sanders, is not just a salesman. He's a football coach. He's a football guy. He's an NFL Hall of Famer. So, so you're right. I mean, he's one of one. He's definitely unique. But he came in with the attitude of that's how we're going to rebuild. He made a splash. It wasn't that successful of a season, but it's certainly better than what they had. They got a lot of attention. It'll be interesting to see if there's a jump next year with, another recruiting class coming in for both freshmen and transfers. But yeah, I mean, you've always had to be able to sell what you're doing at your school. Every coach has always had to be able to do that. You just have more places to do it now. It's not just high school seniors, but it's players from other teams that are looking for a new home. And it's like everybody is in the transfer portal. You even see, Ohio State's quarterback in the transfer portal. You've got backup quarterbacks from two of the playoff teams in the transfer portal. And it's just, it's funny. It's like, how much does the postseason even mean anymore? It means more about finding a new home than whatever game you're going to play.
Yeah, and it's one of those things when you start looking ahead to the matchups, and there's so many different things, whether it's a top flight quarterback not playing, even an offensive tackle you might not know, but Joe Alt, Notre Dame, not playing the bowl game can affect so many of these matchups.
And neither is Hartman.
That's right, Sam Hartman for Notre Dame. It's still big for El Paso. I know the Sun Bowl is excited about bringing those teams in. Just a couple more minutes. We got Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, with us here on the Sports ML. Jerry, I know bowl season kicks off on Saturday. Very excited around here with the Isleta New Mexico Bowl, New Mexico State and Fresno State. But there's also this little game going on. Number 1 Arizona, number 3 Purdue. That is going to get some attention on the basketball court.
Yeah, to say the least, I'll be there. I'm excited about it. That game's in Indianapolis. Purdue's played a mid-December game, finals week, end of finals week game in Indianapolis now for, 15 years or so. But this year it's Arizona, and it's that is going to be fabulous because those are two really good teams, both ends of the floor, differently constructed, great coaches. I hope it lives up to it. Purdue has played a really rigorous schedule so far, and Arizona has as well. But, Purdue went out and won the Maui Invitational, playing 3 teams that were ranked in the top 12 at the time, and just beat Alabama and Toronto the other day, which is an unranked team, but shouldn't be. That's a good team. Anyways, it's been quite a season for both of these teams. Arizona, they're both potential national champions, so this is almost like a Final Four preview before these teams really get tested in conference play, which is where everybody knows you. So conference play is always different than non-conference play, but it should be a great game. It's more of a leg up for NCAA tournament seeding than anything else. That's the impact it might have in March, but both of these teams are probably going to get a lot out of this game.
I hate to bring this up, but I'm curious after last night's result with Chicago State and Northwestern, if you've ever seen such a turnaround for a program to lose, whatever metric you want to pull, whatever rankings you want to pull, but a Northwestern team that beats a number 1 Purdue on December 1st, I think it was, and 2 weeks later is
turn around
losing
and lose
to
to Chicago
300
State.
something
Yeah.
Chicago State.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a turnaround like that.
It probably happened. I don't have an example off the top of my head. I'm as a Purdue guy, which you probably know.
Yeah.
Purdue has always played like crap in that building, even when they win, for a couple of decades, going back 25 years. Purdue plays horribly in that building, and Northwestern's a good team. So I don't know if they just caught Northwestern at a good time or what. Chicago State's got a couple of guys that you wouldn't normally find on a team like Chicago State, but they don't have enough guys to normally win a game like this. But obviously they caught Notre Dame, or caught Northwestern, that is, at a good time, and got a huge win for the only independent in college basketball still, Chicago State.
And one-offs I know in college basketball don't really mean anything necessarily. It's such a huge sample size with 30-plus games every year. But does it speak to anything? Does it speak to transfer portal world? Does it speak to any given night? Or is it just a one-off that happened to happen?
Yeah, I think it's just a one-off that, one of those days that Northwestern had. It was much more one of those days for Northwestern than it was for Purdue when they lost there, because Northwestern's a much better team than that.
Jerry, enjoy this weekend. Have some fun. We'll talk to you next Thursday. I always appreciate the time.
All right, thanks.
Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, joining us on the opening drive. What a ride that is for Purdue basketball. They're playing the game up in Canada. Zach Edey, beating Alabama, but then you lose to Northwestern. Then you come back, and you got this mega game with Arizona on Saturday. And then last night, everyone's like, wait a second. Chicago State just beat Northwestern. Chicago State did it.
I know on the Ken Palm numbers, Chicago State was 335 going into that game last night. And when Northwestern beat Purdue, and then Chicago State 335 beat Northwestern, and 2 weeks ago, Purdue was number 3 in Ken Palm when Northwestern beat them. They were ranked number 1 in the AP poll and the coaches poll at the time. So, yeah, Northwestern in 2 weeks' time beat the number 1 team in the country and lost to the 335th ranked team in the country.
And that is out of 362 Division I basketball teams. He is Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, DC holding it down. JJ Buck with you. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
This report is sponsored by...
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you.
I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on
Drunk driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I've ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interests being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How would I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Rosendo Nahar here, President of Carpenters Local 1319.
Juan Junior Gonzalez, Warden of Local 1319. Some people have a misconception about what a carpenter does.
The carpentry trade entails more than just woodworking or building houses. We are responsible for 85% of a construction job site. Everything from the superintendent on down. We have a great apprenticeship program. Information can be found on our website.
These days, it's important to know people and businesses you can trust. There's a lot of places where you can buy a vehicle, but there's only a few local dealerships where you'll find honest people who have your best interests in mind. And Fiesta Kia is one of them. We've been helping our neighbors save money and drive dependable cars for years, and we'd love to help you. With new Kias arriving daily, you'll love our selection and the peace of mind you'll get driving a Kia from Fiesta. So stop by and see us today at Fiesta Kia on Lomas, or just start driving now at fiestakia.com.
How about the system quarterback Brock Purdy dropping the Uno reverse card on the MVP conversation? Because it really feels like it's boiling down to 4 players, but almost like 2 different conversations within one. Because you have Christian McCaffrey versus Tyreek Hill. I think that could be for like offensive player of the year. Then you have Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy that have emerged as the favorites in the MVP conversation. There's people pushing Lamar Jackson saying, hey, look at this team, look at his performance. But when you have record and numbers, it leans towards Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott right now. I think Jalen Hurts could get hot and put himself back into the conversation. But Brock Purdy, the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, who may never lose again with all the talent on the football field, he dropped a great take on the MVP conversation because it's what people throw in his face about the San Francisco 49ers. JJ Buck, joined by Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, Santa Fe 49ers fan over here.
That's right.
Jeff Grammer at DC, holding it down. So, Brock Purdy, when asked about, hey man, what's it feel like being an MVP candidate, being in the NFL MVP conversation? And he said, quote, when I get asked the question and stuff, it comes to mind, the first thing is what an honor. And then he went on to say, but at the same time, I'm trying to do what I can for this team, for this Sunday and for this practice or this meeting. I'm not getting caught up in awards and stuff like that. If anything, I look at it more as a team award. I have a great surrounding cast. I've got guys around me that are all making plays, a great defense, great special teams. And so that's a testament to the team that I have. Oh, that's an Uno reverse card. Everyone's just saying, yeah, Brock, you just got the best teammates. You just got the best players to throw to. And you're like, you know what? The MVP is a team award. And I'm all about the team. I am a team MVP. That's a smart comment there from Brock Purdy.
He's a smart quarterback.
I like that.
And he's handling his opportunity well. He's not the MVP on his own team. I love the versatility of the 49ers. I love that Debo can be their best running back on any given day, and he's a receiver. And I love that Christian McCaffrey can be their best receiver on any given day, and he's their running back. But Christian McCaffrey, I think, is the MVP of the 49ers, who might be the best team. I don't think they'd overcome losing their every down back as much as they'd overcome even losing Brock Purdy. But that said, it's not even worth arguing that much. The MVP has become the quarterback of the best team, or at least a contending team.
You put a smile on DC's face this morning.
I really wish, and maybe it's the dang media, maybe it's us. Like we probably do need to highlight more and talk more about who the offensive player
because
of the year
the
is.
numbers for Brock Purdy are more than just the guy that's like throwing screen passes.
No, he's good.
Christian.
Yeah, I believe he's good. I'm a Brock Purdy believer.
Yeah,
I'm just also
pretty good.
A follower of the 49ers and what Christian McCaffrey's done in the 8 or 29 games, 30 games that he's been with San Francisco right now. In like almost any other era other than the past probably 10 years, I think would be celebrated even more so than it has been, because what he's done is really remarkable. It's unbelievable how many touchdowns he scored in about a 30-game span since getting traded to the 49ers. And it's just in an era where a running back can't even be in the top 10 or top 7 or 8 anyway in MVP conversation anymore. And it's crazy.
I had Christian McCaffrey at number 2.
Yeah.
I had Tyreek Hill at number 1. Of course, these things fluctuate week to week. Tyreek Hill slips a little bit, got a little banged up, only had 61 yards receiving, but still on pace for a 2,000-yard season. And you remove Tyreek Hill from the Dolphins, and then that's a quarterback. You're like, all right, how could Tua respond to this challenge? Didn't look great offensively.
Right.
In the Monday night game.
And I do think the 49ers would survive a lot better than any team if you lose anybody, including McCaffrey. But McCaffrey, I think, is far more valuable to the best team in football right now than Brock Purdy. I think, Brock Purdy is after all, he was the third string quarterback. They seem to plug in and do just fine when they did that a year ago. I don't know that they would do as fine if they had to plug in Sam Darnold, but I'll bet you they'd do okay. I'll bet you they'd be okay with Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel.
We'll see. We got some interesting what if questions. Jeff Grammer just asked what if. Well, we got a what if red zone coming up at 9:15. That's Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, DC. JJ Buck with you here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back and moved there. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you.
I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
Rosendo Nahad here, President of Carpenters Local 1319. Juan Junior Gonzalez, Warden of Local 1319. Some people have a misconception about what a carpenter does. The carpentry trade entails more than just woodworking or building houses. We are responsible for 85% of a construction job site. Everything from the superintendent on down. We have a great apprenticeship program. Information can be found on our website.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! Boom! This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How would I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet.
Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
Seriously? You expect me to drive while you aren't wearing seatbelts?
What's the worst that can happen?
Seriously? Buckle up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, voted the best sports show in New Mexico for 5 years running. It's the OD in the AM with 3-time New Mexico Sportscaster of the Year, Jeff Symbieta and JJ Buck.
Looks like it's calmed down a little bit out there this morning. Maybe just some rain. Woke up in the middle of the night, some nice hailstorm came through. Gotta love it. But you know what? It's going to clear out. It's going to be chilly, but that's all right. You got your hand warmers. You got your jacket. And you can bundle up, get your favorite drink of your choice, and join us on Saturday at the Isleta New Mexico Bowl, New Mexico State, Fresno State, coming up after Red Zone. So you hear Red Zone here in a few minutes. When we wrap that up, we'll give away a pair of tickets to the Isleta New Mexico Bowl this weekend. Joined by Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, beat writer for the women's basketball team. Just just writer extraordinaire with us in studio. DC, JJ Buck with you here on the opening drive. So yesterday, Richard Pitino met with the media. And you're just getting nuggets from Richard Pitino. All those questions that Jeff Grammer is asking, the mustaches of local reporters that are just mesmerizing the head coach. Those are the things that are coming out of basketball. I actually thought, and it's one of the things you kick yourself when you hear it, of like, gosh darn it, why didn't I think of that? But when Richard Pitino was asked about Tommy DeVito, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's a Linsanity for football. It's like, oh, yes, it is.
Absolutely.
That's a great comparison. Why didn't I think of that? Why did the head basketball coach of the University of New Mexico have a better take on Tommy DeVito than anyone else?
He said it, and it's in New York, obviously. Is the
Yes.
But yeah, the Italian Linsanity is what he said. And he is a Giants fan. He grew up good friends with the Mara family, did Richard Pitino, and he's a big Giants fan. So, yeah, I asked him if he's been wearing his DeVito jersey all week, and that basically had Richard Pitino, who's in a good spot at 9-1,
Yeah.
and
Can have a little more fun at a press conference.
have a little fun at a press conference, and he started talking about the Giants, and yeah, his take was, isn't it just fantastic? He's doing the hand gesture while he's telling us at the press conference, and he did compare Tommy DeVito to Linsanity, the Italian Linsanity for the NFL.
Perfect.
It really is. It's taken on this whole new identity, and people are loving it.
It is insane. Sports, we think we know, but we have no idea. But to look at the NFL, which we hyper-focus on quarterbacks. We just said, how good is Brock Purdy versus the talent he has? We're going to look at these teams that are going to be drafting Caleb Williams or Drake May. Is that going to change the fate of their franchise? In the AFC and NFC Offensive Players of the Week, it was Zach Wilson and Tommy DeVito. I don't even think they would put odds on that anywhere in the world of, at some point in time, these two guys being offensive players of the week in the NFL, let alone both of them in the same week.
It's like if you bet the board kind of names right there. It's like I'll name the 5 best players, and then, or it could be someone else. The best odds you're ever getting on those guys is if they're on the board or someone else. The Zach Wilson one, in some ways, might even be more improbable just because of where he was. Then they benched him. Then there was the debate of whether or not he wanted to come back. A random quarterback, again, as a 49er fan, I can see a random quarterback stepping into a role and kind of fluking his way to some big wins. Brock Purdy did it just a year ago, and now look at him. Like, I can see a guy coming out of nowhere, but Zach Wilson wasn't out of nowhere. He had been
we saw
there.
Zach, and then he was a backup, and then we saw Zach again, and then he was third string.
Yeah, and he was awful. So it's almost in some ways even more improbable that Zach Wilson. But yeah, you get a couple New York quarterbacks having a good week. The NFL will find a way to make sure that those two guys get a little publicity, because the stats. Yeah,
that Tommy DeVito didn't feel like a worthy NFC Offensive Player of the Week.
No, NFC Story of the Week maybe, but Offensive Player of the Week.
Debo going off again.
Yeah,
you had. I'm like anyone else, but Tommy DeVito throws a touchdown on Monday Night Football. Goes 4 for 4 for 50 yards on the final drive, setting up a game-winning field goal. And it's your Offensive Player of the Week in the NFC.
It's almost like some version of insanity.
I mean, a little NFL conspiracy. I'm sure Sports Talk Radio has been fire
in
this
New York?
week in New York.
Can you imagine?
With Zach Wilson and Tommy DeVito.
Well, who's better? Who would you rather have as your quarterback the rest of this season? Zach Wilson or Tommy DeVito?
I think I'm going with Tommy DeVito.
You got to, right? Because again, you know what Zach Wilson is.
It's also, I've seen Tommy DeVito. Yeah, the numbers not lighting up, but he's not turning football over, and I like that. He got me 70 yards on the ground.
Right. Yeah, I'll take that.
That's a solid game management,
especially out of a backup quarterback, because when you put in your backup quarterback, you're kind of throwing out what you wanted to do with your offense a little bit anyway, right? So if you could manufacture a couple move the chain kind of plays in any way possible, and if that's running the ball from your quarterback, you'll take that, because you've essentially tossed out what you'd want to do with your offensive game plan anyway once you're playing a Tommy DeVito. So, yeah, I'll take some running ability out of my backup quarterback any day.
This whole Tommy DeVito thing is just so amazing to me. But the thing that actually got me thinking about is another number 15 from the Giants, Jeff Hostetler, that came back and won some games. It's kind of random, but this DeVito story, I don't think it's going to end with the end of this season. I think he actually. I think they might give him a little bit of a chance.
I think he definitely has a chance to be the back quarterback next year because you're going to bring back Daniel Jones because you paid him coming off the injury. This is one where enjoy the moment, but don't make too much of it. I don't want to say that Tommy DeVito is not going to have an opportunity to play quarterback, but it's also they've won 3 in a row. They're a 5-8 Giants team.
It's a good story.
Like, it's a fantastic story. Yeah. So I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse with this and say, Tommy DeVito is the game changer. Tommy DeVito is going to save that franchise. Get out of here, Daniel Jones. But I think if I'm bringing him back instead of Tyrod Taylor, I'm sorry, Tyrod, you just can't stay healthy, man. He's the backup quarterback with like the worst luck right now. He's the backup that gets hurt.
Yeah, that is something. But we're talking about Purdy. I kind of think about Purdy too. This time last year, he won a few games. That's cute. But this year we're talking about MVP. It is kind of amazing how these guys can emerge when they get that chance.
To add to your Tyrod Taylor, he even got hurt by his own team doctor once.
Yeah.
He's a starter, and his team doctor hurt his leg.
Has anyone ever looked in? Was Justin Herbert behind that? Because Tyrod Taylor was starting over Justin Herbert his rookie season, and then Tyrod Taylor battling through a rib injury. It's like, I'm going to be out there. Give me the shot, give me the injection, and they just poke a hole in his lung.
Poked a hole in his lung. The team doctor did.
Oops.
The Brock Purdy thing is right, though. A year ago, if you go back and if anybody has the hot takes on Brock Purdy and how doomed the 49ers were going to be when they were having to turn to Brock Purdy.
It's a little different when we're comparing Brock Purdy to Tommy DeVito, but it's based on roster expectations.
Absolutely. That's fair because, you wanted Brock Purdy to come in and not screw things up for a very talented roster. You want Tommy DeVito to come in and basically get us to the end of the season so we could get our high draft pick, and he's screwing that up by winning games. So the expectations around the franchise certainly are very different between San Francisco a year ago and now, and what the New York Giants are.
How do you feel about that? Because right now, if you're a Giants fan, enjoy the moment. I think we get caught up too much on things that haven't happened or things that are going to happen, and I go right back to this all the time. And when we're talking to the NFL, I don't think tanking works in the NFL. I think that it's too hard of a league to win in. There's too many variables from your front office to your coaching staff to a 53-man roster that thinking just because you have the number 1 overall pick and this is the next best quarterback, that is going to fix your franchise. So for me, I wouldn't be a fan that would be too upset about, oh my gosh, we're not in the Caleb Williams or Drake May sweepstakes, because for as many of these number 1 picks that end up working out, there's just as many of those quarterbacks that don't work. I would rather see my franchise try to compete, show that they can win, have a competent coaching staff, which I think Brian Daboll, he was just the NFL Coach of the Year because he made Daniel Jones into what people thought was an average NFL quarterback. I would rather be on this path than upset that Tommy DeVito won 3 games and we don't have a higher draft pick.
If you look at the MVP race right now, how many of them were top 5 draft picks in the NFL draft?
And we're talking about quarterbacks.
Yeah,
last
Jalen Hurts was a 2nd-round pick.
Jalen Hurts, 2nd round. Dak Prescott, 4th round. Lamar Jackson, last pick of the 1st round.
I don't know if you heard about Brock Purdy, last pick of the entire draft. So, last is what you
means he can't be any good.
He can't be any good.
We're always going to lower his ceiling because he was the last pick.
I love the conversation on the last pick of the draft is always, you're better off not even getting picked at that point because then you get to pick your team. Whatever. I'll take getting drafted in the NFL any day. But yeah, the whole tanking, you're right. It is a little overblown. Everyone talks about it. It becomes the conversation around a bad team because what else are you going to talk about, I suppose?
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to tell me that it's that valuable to get the number 1 pick or even a top 5 pick, tell me what teams right now are built solely around or the missing piece was that number 1 overall pick. Not a lot of them. There might be a few.
Recent history, you'd look at Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Just in Jacksonville.
Sure.
Now, that's one where, all right, I can understand the frustration because that was a draft that the New York Jets won 1 too many games late in the season. And the New York Jets got stuck with Zach Wilson while Trevor Lawrence goes to Jacksonville. There are going to be some stories like that.
Yep.
But then there's also it takes a little bit of luck. Because you know who got lucky? Houston Texans. Because they were in the same spot. They won that game last year. People were upset. And there could be a couple of points that you point to and say, JJ, your argument is worthless. And that was almost one of those ones with Houston, because if they We're sitting there, and they had the number 2 overall pick because they won that game late in the season. Carolina has number 1. Carolina goes C.J. Stroud. And then
It's all different, right?
It's all different. So, yeah, there's certain moments, but I still believe that you play to win the game.
You play to win the game. I think as far as the NFL draft goes, there's enough of a crapshoot element to it that you'll take a top 10 pick and you just go win some games, right? You generate excitement. How as a business you make money is try and sell some tickets, right? Try and do something marketing wise that has some fan excitement. You do that by winning games. You don't do that by tanking every year.
No, you trust the process. You can get away with it in basketball because you just need one guy.
Well,
to get things going, if you hit on the right guy.
Wemby?
I was thinking more of this Philadelphia because they had that extended run, but the Spurs are close to that. The Spurs are close to that, and you got Victor Wembanyama and that losing streak. Ooh, that's rough in San Antonio. But when we come back on the other side, we're going to play a little game of going into the red zone. What if are the questions DC is going to throw at us. That is next. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Cross-Camara here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
Show that she better than all my intentions. I can show that you got my attention. See your baby like you to the pennies. Touchdown and tell you a visit.
For 50 years, Clark's Pet Emporium has been your pet's favorite stop. Santa Paws has left thousands of holiday gifts for your furry, scaly, and winged family members. Pick up a gift for a pet lover or even a new pet. Clark's has shelves full of pet beds, sweaters, toys and treats, habitats, and tanks galore. Locally owned and operated with 2 convenient locations for all your pet needs. 11200 Manal Northeast or 4914 Lomas Northeast. Clark's is celebrating 50 years. Thanks to you, the Christmas Superstore. ClarksPets.com.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride barbecue chicken and ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We here at Clark's Pet Emporium welcome you to bring in your pets. We know that having your pet with you makes the experience of shopping for them even better. And we welcome you to bring your kids also. Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
For 50 years, Clark's Pet Emporium has been your pet's favorite stop.
Hi, I'm Michael Ozera, midfielder for New Mexico United. Clark's support for United is an example of their commitment to local partnerships. Clark's understands that paying it forward develops a better team and ultimately better community partner.
When you need pet food and supplies,
Clark's is always the best shot.
Locally owned and operated with 2 convenient locations.
Go United!
ClarksPets.com.
We're getting ready to go into the red zone, and it also means stay tuned because very soon it's your chance to win a pair of tickets to the Isleta New Mexico Bowl this Saturday. New Mexico State and Fresno State. It's going down at University Stadium. JJ Buck, Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, DC, and it is time. You can get a drink of water if you'd like to. I'll let you hydrate real quick before we get into the red zone. Omaha, set. Let's go into the red zone.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountains?
Are you crazy? I'm saying you're a football player.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to Tom Brady this game.
You're in the red zone with Jeff Symbieta and JJ Buck.
Let's go, baby!
It's first and goal.
Well, and as JJ said, this is the Red Zone What If edition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out a few possible but unlikely scenarios.
Unlikely.
Yeah, you got to throw it out there. Then I want you guys to just sort of explore what the world would be like if that scenario came to fruition. So we'll start with the big one. What if Dak Prescott wins MVP and leads the Cowboys to a Super Bowl championship?
If that happens, Dak Prescott will become the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. Jerry Jones will hand him the franchise, whatever value it is, and say, here you go, Dak. Thank you very much. And you will have to block and or delete all your Dallas Cowboy fan friends from your cell phone and your social media for the next 25 years.
You double block? I mean, the ones you haven't blocked, you're going to have to block even. Yeah, everything's bigger in Dallas, right? And if that happens, it'll be a painful time for the rest of us. I guess I'll say, because Cowboy fans, if they're not insufferable now, when they aren't winning, they're even worse when they are winning, and it's gonna be rough if that happens.
Second and goal.
Ready, down, put.
All right, let's try this one. What if Patrick Mahomes does not win another Super Bowl or MVP?
I think Patrick Mahomes goes from greatest of all time to just another Aaron Rodgers, even with multiple championships that Mahomes has, because the expectations were so high. He was the one guy we looked at, and we're like, you were the savior. You were supposed to lead us to the promised land. You were supposed to challenge Tom Brady. And then to go, oh, he just never won another one? That changes things. When we're talking 3, 4, 5 versus 2, yeah, you become just another really good quarterback in the history of the NFL.
How about this? A reverse Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, where everyone's now questioning how good of a coach Bill Belichick was. Well, quietly, Andy Reid's been a fantastic coach. And I'm curious if maybe you start questioning, well, was Patrick Mahomes ever really that good? Was he just a product of Andy Reid being the man getting everything done, and Tom Brady was just the man getting everything done for Belichick? I'm wondering if maybe without another MVP, if Patrick Mahomes just kind of goes down that Bill Belichick route where you start questioning his legacy because it was all about Andy Reid.
It's a system quarterback.
Ooh, that is fantastic. In this scenario, is Patrick Mahomes a Chief his entire year or his career?
Yes.
No. I don't think he will be, just because I don't think anybody ever is anymore. But in that scenario, he probably is. That's a good question, though.
3rd and goal.
All right. What if Aaron Rodgers didn't get hurt?
If Aaron Rodgers didn't get hurt, with what we've seen play out in the AFC, and I'm talking with the teams at the top that aren't dealing with the quarterback injuries, like they are a top 4 team, and we'd be talking about the Jets the same way we'd be talking about the Miami Dolphins, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Kansas City Chiefs right now. I think with Aaron Rodgers at the helm of that offense, with what has been one of the best defenses in the NFL, he would be living up to the preseason hype, and he would be backing up that, yes, you add him, and that is a Super Bowl contender.
Oh, first of all, we would miss out on the Zach Wilson Player of the Week
True.
glory that we've had this past week. Buffalo Bills probably, assuming everything else is the same and Aaron Rodgers is the only difference, Buffalo Bills probably aren't even in the conversation for a playoff spot at this time with their struggles, because I think Aaron Rodgers and the Jets not only take a spot, but within the division take a spot.
And they even won that first game with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that's true. So,
it probably it has a bigger impact on. I think you're right. Like the teams that still have a chance now, there's probably a couple of those teams that not having a chance.
That's right.
4th and goal.
Did I stutter? Beer me.
All right, and it's time for the ultimate what if. We've all had a player get hurt and have that injury ruin a season. We've all had a player leave a team unexpectedly, and we've all had players not live up to expectations. So what's the greatest what if situation you've lived through as a fan?
You got to start thinking. I know Jeff kind of going off the board a little bit because he is a Portland Trailblazers fan, so he's got a lot of answers to that question.
I do. I could jump in real quick and do my off the board, which is way back when they could have got Michael Jordan, although nobody really questioned it at the time. Sam Bowie was their number 1 pick, and Hakeem Olajuwon was actually the number 1 pick of that draft. Portland had the number 2 pick and could have got Jordan, and went with Sam Bowie. That didn't work out. Greg Oden down the road, they draft first. He gets injured, never plays meaningful minutes for Portland. Brandon Roy becomes a really good player for them, and then he gets hurt and can't play basketball anymore. So I went off the board and went from a basketball standpoint. There were a lot of what ifs. Really quick, I won't belabor it, but the 49er kind of reverse what if is, what if Trey Lance didn't get injured last year? Where would the 49ers be right now if Trey Lance never got hurt and played that whole season? He's now a practice squad quarterback, right? Yeah. And we're talking Brock Purdy as the MVP.
Those are fantastic. What ifs? I'm thinking back, first, going to NFL with the Broncos. I don't think there's a major injury that's really derailed anything. Coming up short, maybe some of the Jake Plummer years where he had a good team, but not championship caliber. Jay Cutler just not really panning out. I'm not sure about that. And so I look at, just as a sports fan, those what if moments. And I got one for you. It's going off the board too. It's not an injury. What if the Colorado Rockies were not so good that they didn't sweep Arizona, and they actually, played a little longer series, and they didn't have to sit there and get rusty before the World Series and lose to the Red Sox?
Big what if.
That is a big one. For me, recently with the Broncos, I always wonder what if they went and drafted Justin Fields.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. I was in Denver.
He was right there.
Yeah, and he was right there. They opted against. Everyone in the city was screaming.
Pat Surtain that draft, right?
And it worked out. Yeah, they went Pat Surtain. He's turning out to be one of the best cornerbacks. But the other one I think about is what if the Tim Tebow year didn't happen the way it did, and they ended up with Andrew Luck?
Ooh. There's that conversation of should have tanked it.
They tried. That's the funny thing. They
tried, because they had a quarterback that wasn't a good NFL quarterback playing quarterback, and all they did was mess around and win a playoff game. However, Mr. DC, because of that, they got Peyton Manning.
They did, and that's another what if. What? Wow, we can go way down this rabbit
hole.
So
they were a good enough franchise. They're like, man, we're winning football games with Tim Tebow. We got Demaryius Thomas. We got Eric Decker. Or we got a defense that's playing good. Let's go recruit Peyton Manning and bring him in.
That was a wild time in Denver, man. I got to tell you, I remember when he showed up on the plane, like, we were shocked. That was something. But I'll tell you also, that Tim Tebow year as a fan.
It was nuts.
I went to 6 of those games, including the playoff game. That was the best year to go to NFL football games in Denver.
Because you're watching, you're like, this shouldn't be happening. Like
the one downside to it was the Lions game. They lost like 41-10 or something like that, and Calvin Johnson had like 200.
Well, and then so after the Demaryius Thomas touchdown catch in overtime to beat the Steelers, they got blued out the bill by the Patriots the very next week in the playoffs. But we don't have to talk about that. We can just talk about
all we need.
How
to do
did
is
they
talk
beat
about
the
the
Steelers in the playoffs?
I just remember I was standing there at the 48-yard line. I had just come back from using the restroom. I see the play unfold, and I see Demaryius running down. I'm like, this is happening. This is going down. We just won this game because they had just changed the rules for playoffs. The place exploded, man. It was something so crazy. You've never felt so much energy from 78,000 people before. It was nuts.
Crossing route. Boom. Take off, DT. Let's go.
Let's go.
Was that the only completion of the game for him?
It might have been.
It was one of like 6.
Didn't they wasn't there a game that year? I think it was in Kansas City where they almost went the entire game and Tim Tebow didn't complete a pass and they won it. I think it was it was like craziness like that they were doing that year.
They were setting up that play all year.
They were like, wait a second, how are you running an Air Force offense and winning in the NFL? Like, that's what was happening. What a year.
What a year.
What a year. I love it. What if. Great red zone today. DC, that was a lot of fun. 505-246-0610. You ready to give away a pair of tickets to the Isleta New Mexico Bowl? Caller number 4, 505-246-0610. Get yourself a pair of tickets to this Saturday's Isleta New Mexico Bowl, New Mexico State and Fresno State. Caller number 4 right now, 505-246-0610. It is the opening drive on the Sports Animal.
The Jim Rome Show.
Something tells.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, my mom.
As Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in Murcia. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you. I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
Rosendo Nahad here, president of Carpenters Local 1319.
Juan Junior Gonzalez, warden of Local 1319. Some people have a misconception about what a carpenter does.
The carpentry trade entails more than just woodworking or building houses. We are responsible for 85% of a construction job site. Everything from the superintendent on down. We have a great apprenticeship program. Information can be found on our website.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us, and my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Everguard Roofing and Solar. For nearly 20 years, Everguard Roofing and Solar has been working with New Mexicans to enhance their homes and businesses. For all your roofing and solar needs in New Mexico, call 505-821-9543.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman! This place is hot!
Some news coming down the pipeline this morning. Future of Mountain West Conference. It's interesting when you look at the scheduling agreement they have on the football side. Makes sense. Next 2 years, Oregon State, Washington State. If you look at the schedules, they actually already have a lot of games scheduled against Mountain West opponents, those two schools, where they're just going to fill in, and they have a scheduling agreement with the Mountain West for the next 2 seasons. There'll be an addition to the schedule for a lot of teams throughout the conference, and then we'll see what happens with all the monies involved, who still has that chunk of money in the Pac-12, 10, now Pac-2, who owns the rights, what banner are they going to fly under, are they going to be able to merge, are they going to have enough power to pick off the top of the Mountain West Conference and then maybe add the teams they want to recreate the rebirth of the Pac-12? We shall see, but some news that you were just touching on, that is Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, JJ Buck with you, DC holding it down this morning. Could be a much bigger thing for basketball next year.
Yeah, and it really makes a lot of sense. But I'm just looking right now at John Rothstein. His feed, he has a story. It says a source has told him that basically Oregon State and Washington State will likely, or are in discussions, I should say, I won't say likely, are in discussions to join the Mountain West in basketball. And why this makes a ton of sense, first of all, you already have the football scheduling agreement in place, but they want to stay under the Pac-12 or Pac-2 umbrella flag for as long as they can, because there's money involved in that. If you want to see what Oregon State and Washington State as a 2-team conference, what their non-conference schedule or what their conference schedule would look like in January and February next year as a 2-team league, look at what Chicago State is doing, and I looked at that just a little while ago. Between December,
you wouldn't play a 20-game round robin just between Oregon State.
Yeah, you can't play 20 league games or even a 16-game scheduled league. But even if you did, like basically between January and for Chicago State, the only independent in Division I basketball, because they don't have a league schedule to play, they have to find teams in their league schedule willing to play them, and none of them are going to go to Chicago State to play them in a non-conference game, right? Why would a New Mexico Lobo team on February 20th decide in the middle of league play, I'm going to go play at Chicago State? So Chicago State, as the only independent in basketball, which almost is what Oregon State and Washington State will be if they're a 2-team league, they don't have a single Division I home game from December 22nd to the end of the season. They do have scheduled 3 home games against an NAIA school, a Division II school, and a Division III school. That's what you get in January and February if you're not in a conference. So it makes sense that Oregon State and Washington State would have to join the Mountain West just to fill out a schedule that isn't them playing each other or them trying to find a bunch of Eastern New Mexicos and Western New Mexicos and New Mexico Highlands to fill out their January and February schedule.
And you look at it from a football perspective, I think there's a lot of excitement basketball-wise. What does that do for the scheduling in terms of what do we see? They just add 2 games to everyone's schedule and go from there?
Yeah, so right now the Mountain West is an unbalanced 18-game schedule with 11 teams, and that means 2 teams you don't play. Now, if you add 2 teams to that mix, you're going to still be an odd number at 13. So they would bump up. My guess would be that this is all guesses. I have not talked to anybody about this happening or what the details will be. My guess is they would go up to an unbalanced 20-game schedule. There's been talk already for many years about the Mountain West going to a 20-game schedule, which a lot of the big leagues have already done that are 16-team leagues and stuff like that. The holdup and the resistance in the Mountain West forever was Steve Fisher at San Diego State, now Brian Dutcher at San Diego State. UNLV has opposed it. Well, why would UNLV and San Diego State oppose longer conference schedules? It's because those two schools, they can get home games in the non-conference. They want as many home games as they can against top teams that'll come play in Vegas or come play in San Diego. Nobody's coming in the non-conference to the Pit. Nobody's going to Laramie, Wyoming in the non-conference. Not a lot of people are going to Washington State and Oregon State in the non-conference either. So at this point, I think the league, if they are adding two teams, even if it's on a temporary basis, would go to a 20-game schedule and cut into their non-conference a little bit. Right now, the UNM Lobos have 13 non-conference games and 18 conference games, basically. So they play a 31-game schedule. And in league play, that's 9 home games, 9 road games. And then in the non-conference, 13 games. They have to load up on home games. And if nobody good's going to come play them, if they want to make their budget, they have to play these teams that local fans complain about all the time, and maybe rightfully so in some cases. I think they're better. I think the Lobo schedule is better than most give them credit for. It's not going to get them into the NCAA tournament. They got to do that in league play. But it's not a whole bunch of just like 300 level teams either. It's some decent teams at least. So anyway, long story short, if Oregon State and Washington State join the Mountain West for basketball, I think they would have to go to a 20-game schedule, which is good for most of the league, just not San Diego State and UNLV.
You brought up the net ranking for the Lobos and how they have the second best net ranking right now in the conference. And the net ranking is really the one you want to focus on. You know, there's the KenPom numbers, but the net ranking sets up the quadrant system, and the quadrant system is what matters in college basketball. And because, you know, I was sitting there looking just at the KenPom numbers, and you go down to the Lobos, you know, they're 31 now, in KenPom. And I look at that non-conference schedule. It's at the 213 right now. I was like, man, like that's going to hurt him. And I was thinking, I'm like, all right, I'm going to ask Jeff Grammer, you know, when they get to Mountain West play, what could that number go up to? But then you hit me with those net rankings, and I was like, oh, it's not as impactful as I thought it was going to be at this point in time.
And strength of schedule, by definition, is exactly that. It is the strength of who you play. It is not the strength of you. It is the strength of who you play. Now, traditional thought would be that it makes you battle tested. You're more battle tested for your conference play and for tough games if you play a tougher schedule. That makes sense. That is true. That doesn't mean if the Golden State Warriors somehow were in the Mountain West Conference and they were playing the 213th ranked schedule, it doesn't mean that they're bad because they didn't play anybody good. It just means they haven't been tested. So both can be true.
And that's where
they can play a weak schedule and still be a good team.
Some of these new metrics actually do help out when it comes to like margin of victory and how you're playing, which helps.
Which
with that
has some good and some bad. And Patino touched on this recently. I should have done a story on it. I got to go back and get this quote. He kind of touched on it. Like, they're beating Santa Clara by 15. Well, you know, they relaxed just a few possessions in Henderson last week, and it got down to like 12 and 11 at some point. Then it got back up to 19. Well, what does that mean late in the game? Like, they were comfortably ahead by almost 20 all game. They end up winning. You know, it got down to 12. Really, they were never in doubt of who was going to win the game. But why do those late game possessions matter? What makes those people, those players, make sure that they play every possession in a blowout game and keep adding on? It's because these metrics determine if you beat a team by 20, it's better than beating a team by 10. At the end of the day, the old metrics were just, did you beat them or not? And now it's kind of going into, did you beat them good or not?
Like the NBA in-season tournament.
Right.
Point and differential matters. 505-246-0610. Rudy, you're on the opening drive. What's up, Rudy?
Well, just, writing my little poem. 'Twas the night before the Isleta Bowl and all through the house. But I'm glad the teams made it in safely. Everybody's in their hotel rooms. I'm going to try to hit a couple of the hospitality suites tonight, meet the coaches and some of the people that got these teams here. And then Friday, it's the Fan Fest and the kickoff luncheon. And Saturday, the Fan Fest. And like Jeff said, we're encouraging everybody to get there early. It's going to be a pretty good crowd. I don't know if it's going to set the all-time attendance record, but I know that the east side is pretty much gone. So there's still tickets. Somebody was saying it was sold out, and I want to make sure people understand it's not. There are plenty of tickets on the west side. Fresno State didn't get all their allotments sold. So if you think there are no more tickets, there are. Get down to the ticket office and let's make this a great event.
Let's do it. See you out there Saturday, Rudy. Up in the New Mexico Bowl. Absolutely. It should be a lot of fun this Saturday. We got one pair left tomorrow. One pair. So, if you want to go, you can take your chance tomorrow morning. But I'd suggest get your tickets. And you can come hang out with all of us at the Isleta New Mexico Bowl on Saturday. Rudy got in 505-246-0610. The Sports Animal Hotline, the Sports Animal text line. This morning it is the opening drive on the Sports Animal.
This former size.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife. And our daughter. They didn't make it.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, red and green chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier sweet rolls. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenprideabq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Everguard Roofing and Solar. For nearly 20 years, Everguard Roofing and Solar has been working with New Mexicans to enhance their homes and businesses. For all your roofing and solar needs in New Mexico, call 505-821-9543.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of ProView Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I've ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
Teenagers love a party, especially during prom and graduation season. Often, alcohol is involved. Some parents think that hosting a party with alcohol in their home will keep the kids safe, but it's wrong and it's illegal. As a parent, to allow your teenagers' underage friends to consume alcohol on your property is a felony. Parents who host lose the most. Don't be a party to teenage drinking.
This is a program of the Drug Free Action Alliance. For more information, go to burnco.gov/do-not-host.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back and moved there. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you. I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud.
Indefinite suspension for Draymond Green. The NBA said go to your room and don't come out until we tell you to.
They are very disappointed in him.
They're not even mad at this point in time. No. They're disappointed. But this is who Draymond is. I was not surprised he did it again. My big takeaway from this is this now the point where Golden State says we're done? Because you got the end of some big-time things potentially upcoming, whether it's Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. The very end of the Warriors being a championship team. The fact they did it again, it's phenomenal. In this era of Warriors basketball, the fact that they did it before, have a 72-win season, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, of course, win a championship, and then they played the super team game where Kevin Durant came in and they were unbeatable, and then they went through the bumps in the road and took the losses and the major injuries to Klay Thompson and come back and win it again. It's unbelievable. As DC was pointing out, that 30 for 30 is going to be fascinating, and Draymond Green is going to be a large part of it. But they can't afford this anymore. They're too old with Steph Curry, 36 years old. Klay Thompson, Draymond Green are going to turn 34 in March. To be able to get by with Draymond Green missing the amount of time that he does because he likes to get himself suspended.
I think it gives Golden State an opportunity to make the tough move that they probably need to make anyway. This really, I think, maybe opens the door for them to do it in a way that isn't, we're giving up on one of our legends. People get mad at their franchises when they don't take care of the people that help build the legacy and build the dynasty and all that. This gives them an easy out. Draymond opened the door for them to get rid of him and say, look, we just can't have this distraction anymore. They can call it a distraction. Maybe it's time to move on. And because of the things he's done, they don't have to make the tough decision anymore. He made it pretty easy for them. And the dynasty, the run, it does appear to be over. I know maybe it's been said about Golden State before, but this time it's been over for a little bit. I mean, it's not just like it just happened this year. So I think it's time to move on, and I think Draymond really started the ball rolling on the tough decisions that they have to make.
That's a really good point on it, too, is it allows them to say, hey, it's time for a change. And because Draymond's not changing the way he plays. He's not changing the way he acts. And you can't, they're not good enough to overcome that anymore like they were in the past. To be able to say, all right, Draymond, do your thing. You're going to miss some games. All right. They're not in the top 10 in the Western Conference right now. It's early. They've only played 23 games. They're a 10-13 basketball team.
Yeah, and I know in the NBA you just have to get to the top 10 now, right? But it's a little weighted, at least for the regular, top 6, I suppose it is. Yeah, Golden State's not winning the West, even if they get to the 9 or 10. They better. They're old. They better be a top 6 team at least, and I don't see them getting into the top 6 at this point.
One interesting thing that we haven't really talked about all that much is that they just extended him for 4 years for $100 million.
They paid him.
Yeah, they paid him
handsomely. And that's the kind of just point. They didn't want to make that decision. They said, hey, we're going down with this ship. All hands on deck. Stand hip to hip. We're going down with the ship.
So if they do make the decision to move on, what value do you think he has in the trade market?
I don't know if you're getting an immediate piece back, maybe some future picks. And that's a challenge. Because if you're Golden State and you're saying, all right, you're telling us that we're in a tough spot. And Draymond is still enough of an asset that he helps them on the basketball floor.
Who wants
it? It would be really the contract. And say, all right, you don't have to pay out the rest of that contract. You get some assets back. And I think it's proven that it's easy for basketball fans to look and say that dude is worthless. We did it for how many years with Russell Westbrook?
Right.
We've done it with James Harden. Like, no, I'd never want him. There's no way. And these guys find a place. To
Well,
do
as
that.
far as who would want him to, though, what does Draymond Green bring to a team? Look, the 1980s Pistons aren't going to be able to trade for him. Like,
Yeah.
other than that, like, you'd probably want him on a team that has a young star that might need protection. As crazy as it sounds, you might like a Wemby. Now, the Spurs aren't going to take him. I don't think Popovich is going to put up with.
They're
with
3-20
Draymond.
right now,
and they're 3-20. But I guess you could look at a team that maybe has a young star or two that frankly could use an enforcer and some protection. But
Even that, if you're just a team that is trying to, and can
Toughen
Draymond
up.
Green be an adult in the room?
Yeah, right. You don't want him to bring it. You're not bringing him in for the locker.
I don't
room
know if he
presence,
could
I don't
actually
think.
handle, because you look at it and say, oh, is there a young team that would want Draymond Green? Just the experience, that playoff guy. And you're like, well, is he going to go in and want to punch everyone in the face?
Right. I don't think you bring him in.
Like, you
for
bring
the
him
locker
into the
room.
Orlando Magic, who are, by the way, the third place team in the Eastern Conference. And then he's like, wait a second. All these kids around here, get off my lawn.
Yeah. I think you can maybe bring him in to a situation where you have a young big
The
or
Heat,
forward,
the Knicks,
that maybe could have some pressure taken off of them if you have Draymond defending the other team's, power forward or whatever. But I just don't know. I mean, at this point, I don't know what Draymond created a situation where his value was only at Golden State at that point. Because look what he had around him. He had the offensive firepower. He had the shooters. And if something got testy where you had to get big and physical, like he could play that role. But man, I just don't know what Draymond's value is anywhere but that situation. And he might have just played himself out of it.
Just on Google, I typed in Draymond Green trade just to see what popped up, and Mavericks are the ones that's kind of floating around the internet right now.
And Mavericks are going through an interesting time themselves with the ownership transition and Mark Cuban still playing a role but not being the guy at the helm of that franchise. And they're sitting there in third place in the Western Conference right now. And that's the difference for the Warriors. Is like things have changed. Like these young teams in the West are learning how to win. Like Sacramento knows how to win. Oklahoma City is going through that this season. And we saw last year that the veteran guys were able to hold on and get it done in a series. The Warriors beating the Kings. But I don't think that's the case anymore. And you're trying to say, all right, where is his value? Who would take him? I actually think it would be a more veteran-laden team that would he'd fit in better.
That could handle him.
Yeah, than going to one of these young teams.
As
where I
opposed
think
to him
would-
handling the young players,
Yeah.
you need a veteran team that can kind of handle him.
handle Draymond Green and what he brings. But when it's all said and done, and I wonder too, as you bring up DC, the fact that they did extend him and they're going down with the ship. Did they essentially? The Warriors made their decision. They said, regardless, we're going out with Draymond.
This always comes up with any veteran. Would the Lakers take him?
You know what? Yeah.
I think
LeBron
you're right.
James seems to be good with everyone in this league.
When they had a second big to Anthony Davis, Dwight had a pretty good season with them.
Dwight was really impactful that.
If you could add Draymond as maybe a second big, yeah, I could see the Lakers doing
Just
it.
let him, because the one thing with Anthony Davis is, when he's on, he's really good. But then he'll have those times where he's like, I don't want to be a center. I don't want to have to do this. Well,
And Draymond's not a
Draymond can do
center,
it.
but he can
he'll
do it. Yeah.
He'll throw his arms around enough, hit people. It's fine.
Draymond's agent is Rich Paul, so there's connection with LeBron there.
And you're guaranteed not to have any groin shots to LeBron if he's on your team.
Yes.
That's not a guarantee. He punched his own player last year.
Fair enough. That's a very good point.
Well,
that is a good point.
Might be a little bit of ageism involved in who Draymond Green is going at on the basketball court these days. But that's where I just totally went to this. Is this a breaking point for a team that's hanging on? Like, things are not going well in Golden State. They're not just running and gunning. Clay and Steph hitting all these threes. And they're trying to work in young guys on rotation as well. And that's hard to do, is to be able to sustain a high level of success and develop players at the same time. And we're seeing that. We thought that the Warriors were like in this perfect spot of like they came back. They still had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and they had like a top 3 pick. This is going to be unbelievable. Well, it didn't work out. Like who?
Yeah,
Wiseman, man. What was that?
They got similar to the Patriots. I think they got praised for draft picks, and look how smart that was. And then they never actually panned out. They never really panned out the way people thought they were. I think the Wiseman pick, people were like, "Oh, look what they got!
Yeah.
Oh, you're kidding me! The Warriors got that in late in the first round." Well, didn't really ever pan out.
Well, Wiseman was like the second overall pick.
Right, because that's right. And they got a big man 3 years ago that was supposed to. I'm gonna have to look it up. But anyway, point being, it's time for Golden State to move on, and I think Draymond just made it easy for them to do it.
Open that door. That's Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal. Appreciate you, man.
I'm glad.
Thanks for hanging out.
I'm glad you had me on. It's basketball season, and this is a fun time for me.
New Mexico State tomorrow night in Las Cruces, and then New Mexico State Saturday at University Stadium, a bowl game. A lot of stuff going on.
A lot of Aggie stuff going on.
Very busy. Very busy. DC, great work as always. Adriana on ProView. Appreciate you. We got the Jim Rome Show coming up next. Colin Cowherd at 1. 2 men on. We'll take you up until Thursday Night Football, everybody. Metal World, peace and love. Talk tomorrow.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is ProView. From pros to prep, all your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on ProView Networks.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready.
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad, my mom.
As Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Young driver, this one. Hard to get her out. She'd been drinking. This one. Both of them gone. They'd been drinking, and he drove clear off the road. This was my family. Drunk driver hit us. And my wife and our daughter, they didn't make it.
Hi, I'm Steve Sunker here for Dr. Robert Melendez and the Juliet Eye Institute. You may remember me like this, but no more. The glasses are gone. I tossed them months ago because of a brand new procedure from Dr. Melendez known as RLE, Refractive Lens Exchange. The latest technology, the best eyesight I've ever had in my life, and you can check it out by clicking on the link in the description right here.